You're looking live at the Georgia Dome here in Atlanta for round 8 of the Monster Energy Supercross and FIM World Championship. Welcome into Supercross Live, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley once again bringing you live streaming of practice. This is the beginning of 3 hours of coverage that we'll have for you. Of course, every Saturday we do that, Kevin and Jim. And Jim, the championship chase rolls on. The 250 East is going to be in their second week, but this, the 8th week, we're getting to almost the midway point for the 450 class, and Davey Millsap's still on top.
Well, and you mentioned Davey Millsaps, Kevin, coming into this event. You know, a lot of people thought that maybe he would choke, but he's not choking. He's prepared this year to try and win this championship. The thing about it, though, is what I like is he's won here before, back in 08. James Stewart's won here, yeah. James Stewart's won here. Chad Reed has won here. Ryan Villapoto's won here. And also Ryan Dungey. Dungey won last year, Villapoto in 11. I mean, all those guys you put in there know this track. They know it's capable. They know what they can do here. The thing about it is Davey Millsaps hasn't had a bad race. And I think that's what a lot of guys are wondering, like, when is Davey Millsaps going to have that bad race? And we saw it at the opener for the two-time defending Supercross champion in Ryan Villapoto with that 16th. Is that 16th going to come back to bite him? I mean, there's a lot to take off of that point lead that Davey Millsaps has. And, you know, Eli Tomac's back now. Maybe he can come into this thing. You know, there's a lot of different scenarios here, but all I know is I just named off a few of those guys that have won here before in Atlanta. And you mentioned Trey Kennard. He hasn't won here.
Justin
Barcia. But all these guys know this East Coast soil because they are East Coast champions.
Tell you what, it's crazy with the field that we have in the 450 class. It continues to get deeper with the addition of Eli Tomac. We'll have much more on that later. First ever race held here in Atlanta was, in fact, 1977, and the winner of that race was Bob Hanna.
Yeah, Bob Hurricane Hanna, the old Fulton County Stadium, and there's been some mud races in there. I'm glad we're in the Georgia Dome tonight because it is raining outside, and you know, it's a nice dome here. 70,000 plus are going to be here cheering on their favorite rider. But how about 1985? That's the first year that they implemented the 250 class, and Eddie Warren on a Kawasaki won that year. But since 1985, that's when it first started, you know, the 250 class.
All right, 250 C group just finishing up out there on the track right now. Rife is ahead with a 56.9. Then it's Rosdell, Bitterman, Weishar, Beatty, Peters, Johnson, Mason, Soley, Anthony, Hapner, Vollinger, Lumsdell, Johansson, and Kilbarger out there for 250C. Let's take a look at our Kawasaki track map, as you've gotten a little bit of a look there live, but let's go to the track map and give you an idea how this lays out inside the Georgia Dome. And Jim, you mentioned a huge crowd going to be on hand to watch these riders attack it. It's been sold out the last couple of seasons, 70,000 plus.
Well, here it is, the starting line. It's a long starting line. We're kind of waiting for the gate to drop. There it is. We're off. You run it down into that first turn, a nice sweeping left-hander. We got the Georgia red clay up and over there. Whoever can hit that white stripe can collect some money from Nuclear Cowboys. Little timing section into the right. Nice little triple, double. I think some guys can triple this section, especially the 450 guys. And
it's a very interesting section of the track.
A couple different ways they can do that. A little step on, step off here as they come into the right-hander. And the whoop's relatively short, pretty deep, but short this weekend. Left-hander back into the sand. I like the sand here. It's going to mix things up. And they got a big jump coming right out of there onto the start. It's just one big jump. Come out of there, back down the starting line into a left-hander, and then another timing section where they're tripling into the right-hander. Just a little roller of a triple section over the 65-foot triple. Land there, come back across the starting line, a nice double into this right-hander. A couple ways you can do this this right-hander. They've kind of changed it up. You can either go back to the inside where there's a double jump, or you can rail the outside and then up and over the Monster Energy finish line here in Atlanta.
Couple of key sections to this track, and you're looking at them right now. The whoops on the right, the sand section on the left. The whoops, while you mentioned how short they are, we've watched the riders anytime they lose momentum because they are so deep, they tend to drop pretty quickly into that space. And then the sand, it looks deep. Guys are pitching all over the place, and we saw Trey Kennard earlier go down in that section.
Well, you know, we've talked about it in past broadcasts, the sand. I mean, these guys are setting their bikes up to work on the soil that's there, and then you throw them in a sand. They can't put a sand tire on because it's not going to work anywhere else. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the guys fishtailing, their front ends are moving around out there because the tires just are not going to work in that deep sand.
All right, so this track definitely offers some variety, and a lot of talk about that Georgia red clay and the tackiness of that red clay. The riders, there have been a lot of complaints this year, it appears, about track design, about the different dirt. This week seems like it might change all that around.
Well, the only thing I got to say is if you're a rider, you know, go out and try to design one of your own tracks. I mean, it's so hard for the Dirtworks guys to come up and to try and make things challenging for the guys, you know, out there, but yet make it raceable. You know, last week was a different scenario in Arlington. I mean, that's just the soil they had to work with. Here tonight, you know, I think the Georgia red clay, it presents itself that you can go inside, outside, you can drive into the corners. You can be a lot more aggressive on this track than you could as opposed to last week in Arlington.
It's going to be interesting to see how the lap times shape up. There in the 250C, we were down about 56. We'll see how many seconds below we get as we go to the 250A and the 450A. We've seen track times the last couple of weeks down in the mid-40s. In fact, down into the 44 range last week in Arlington. I would suspect even seeing a 56 there with the C-Class, we're going to see times that are significantly higher.
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right, so 250 B class getting ready to go out there and run. And remember, this is the first time practice session of the day, of two for each one of these groups, the A, B, and C of the 250 and 450 classes. So we have not had an opportunity to see lap times. We get an opportunity to see the open practice that happens before these, before we come on air here on Supercross Live. And we get an opportunity to see who we think is riding well, but until you get to see it against the clock, we don't necessarily know who really is on point during race day.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of the guys now, they're just kind of holding up. They're maybe making a few little changes to the track, just kind of getting things organized. And notice they all got to be above the where the track crosses behind him there. So you got to start out there. Some of the mechanics there just kind of talking to the guys and kind of getting ready. You know, this is it, man. This is our first time we get a shot at the track on time. You're going to see a shot. There's Eli Tomac in the stands there kind of watching on and getting ready for that 450 ride.
Bikes getting fired up here. Those B riders getting ready to go out for their first timed session. Want you to remember that this race tonight will be live. Monster Energy Supercross live again on Speed in HD. That will happen tonight at 7:30 Eastern. So, boy, if you're on the West Coast, it's going to be an early night. Oh, this is the 250A class. Pardon me. 250A class out there on the track now. Not B. This is the A.
Yeah, Blake Wharton out there, number 13. And I'm not sure if that was Will Hahn there that just made a pass, and I can't see the number.
Yeah, that looking like the number 19 of Will Hahn on that Geico Honda. So a couple of the contenders out quick.
You know, Will Hahn rode good last week. He didn't have a good start in that main event, but to come up there and finish on the podium, that was a good start to the season. Tonight's the night where Will Hahn's got to try to maybe get a win under his belt. Here's that section, the left-hander, where I said you come out of there, you can either double and then go over the finish line jump, or you can go around that double. We'll see. Obviously, Will Hahn liked to double that, and that might be the fast way around tonight.
KTM Juniors again in action tonight. They'll be out here at the end of the first practice session for an opportunity to get around the track and check it out. One of the very popular programs here on Monster Energy Supercross. They'll appear 5 times during the season.
There's that sand like you were talking about earlier.
First time I've seen somebody take that outer line. A lot of riders taking the kind of midline, but it's not shaping up straight. There's a lot of turn to it. That right-hand bowl turn there that Will Hahn just went around is where Dean Wilson crashed during the last practice. Just washed the front end, fell down, bike on top of him, spinning around.
Now see, Will Hahn's going to go to the outside now. See, that's that section where you can either double or go to the outside. He's trying it both ways. I like that. He's moving around on the track. He's trying different lines. You saw in some of the bowl turns him coming in, brake sliding, and getting a handful going out. Let's see what he does here. See, there's that triple. Single. I think that's the fast way on that timing section. Then obviously to land on the backside there.
more different rhythm there as Will went over the top of that table. So Will Hahn definitely exploring the track.
Let's see what he does in the sand if he goes in that middle line. So last lap he went to the outside, now he goes to the middle. He's moving around, and that's what you want to do in practice. I mean, you want to move around on the track. You want to try different things, because if you don't get that start, like maybe in his mind subconsciously he's thinking, maybe if I get a bad start, I got to figure out how to get around this track in different areas, and that's what he's doing. Here he comes up for the third time around, and he likes that sweeping around the outside of the jumps, obviously.
Does that indicate to you that there are multiple lines available on this track, Jim? We don't see everybody running the same line each time. We don't necessarily see a rider do what Will Hahn just did to the degree that he did, where he has 3 or 4 different sections where he's running a different line.
Well, I think, Mike LaRocco's over there. He's kind of the team manager over there and helping these guys out. I'm sure Mike's telling him, hey, when you go out and practice, try different lines.
Yeah, Will Hahn just tripling into that right-hander that time instead of double single. So Will Hahn getting a move on, but Marvin Muskin has the top time so far here, just above halfway in practice number 1 for the 250A group, 55.39, followed by Gavin Faith, who won a heat race last week.
Yeah, what a heat race that was. Gavin Faith, Will Hahn was in that, Marvin Muskin was in that. I mean, that was a great heat race that he had won.
Hahn just ran another fast lap, but it keeps him in third. Fastest lap he's run so far to 56 flat. So it's Muskin, Faith, Hahn, Peters, Wharton, Vincent, Hill, Dakotas, Bell, and Thompson. Good to see Cole Thompson back out there after a nasty-looking crash last week.
Yeah, he's got to be disappointed. I mean, he had a top 5 finish easy. I believe he was running in 4th position when he made that little bobble, but the Canadian Cole Thompson just on a roll here. Hopefully he can continue it in Atlanta.
And speaking of being on a roll, Kyle Peters continues to ride well early in this 250 East season. Kyle Peters with a 4th place finish last week on that AG Motorsports Honda. He's out of Greensboro, North Carolina, so we're getting pretty close to home for him.
Yeah, he also whole shot at that main event last weekend in Arlington.
Getting a look at 412, that's Levi Kilbarger.
I like how these guys are getting in. I like the berms here. You can see they can brake slide in. They can grab a handful of throttle. You see the roost coming off of their rear wheel. Levi's looking real nice. He goes to the inside there, takes the whoops. Goes to the very inside in that sand. Here's this bowl turn. Let's see what he does here. He comes in there, grabs a big handful. That's what you can do. You can go in there with the bike and you can move it around and grab a handful. The dirt's here. You'll see a little bit of some slick spots, some of the sections. Levi opted in also to go to that outside lane, so not a lot of guys taking that double. Levi put in a nice lap there. We'll see if he bumped up a little bit.
Blake Wharton just bumped himself up into 3rd. Dean Wilson now sitting atop the leaderboard, 53.51. Marvin Muskin, 53.7. Wharton, 55 flat. So a big difference there between the top 2 guys. On to Blake Wharton. We're talking about a 2nd and a 3rd, or a 2nd and a half all the way to Wilson. So now Jimmy Dakotas on the 613 up there into 4th place, followed by Kyle Peters, Lance Vincent, Vince Fries, Will Hahn, Gavin Faith, and Zach Bell. Although Zach Bell now up into 3rd, ran a 54.4. So Bell continues to display the speed that we've seen out of him both outdoors and last week. The question will be, can he stay on the bike?
That's a big question too.
It's a big question. That's happened both outdoors and indoors. So Zach Bell, no lack of speed. See if he can bring the consistency to go with it, as Wharton is finishing up a cruiser of a lap. Now looking like he's going to make a run.
He's going to go to that inside, hold it, kind of roll that little double, triple into the right-hander. Now let's see what he does here. Just kind of rolls a few of them, double, carry the momentum, triple, double, and into the corner.
And then taking the pace down just a little bit. You saw Will Hahn earlier triple out of going over that table. A little bit of traffic there for Blake Wharton to deal with on the 13. Rockstar Energy Racing.
You know, you mentioned Will Hahn, and we watched him practice, but like I said, his lap times, Will Hahn's never been that type of a rider to be up in the top 1 or 2 or 3 as far as lap times. Will Hahn, I categorize him as being a racer. When the gate drops, he's racing. He'll turn it on. He'll pick those extra second up, you know, when he's under race condition. Just never been good against the stopwatch.
Well, he's picking it up right now. 54.3 puts him in third, just ahead of Zach Bell. Still Wilson, Muskin, Hahn, Bell, and Freeze. Now Vince Freeze in 5th place. Freeze and Hahn with a run-in last week. Freeze getting the short end of that. Interesting to watch and see if those two riders get together again this week. There is Dean Wilson with that red background, number 15. First win for the Pro Circuit team on the year, counting West Coast and East Coast, came last week.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki up on the top of the podium. Even going back to last year, they didn't have that many wins also.
Dean Wilson looking fast and smooth. There's that right-hander where he had a crash earlier today. And in fact, Dean Wilson had a crash earlier this week, going down in training at the end of the whoops, swapped out, hit his left side pretty hard. Understand he broke his helmet, but he's okay. Some ice baths and he's back at it.
Yeah, let's see what that time is that Wilson put in. It really didn't change much from his fast time, but he opted to do that double.
53.3, so Wilson continues to push the pace. Now, Marvin Muskin, sorry, 53.5 was Wilson. Muskin jumped right up there, 53.3. So Marvin Muskin, who had an unfortunate first turn incident in the main last week, it kind of put him out of contention, is atop the leaderboard here in practice number 1.
That's Lance Vincent, number 87 out there.
That's actually Gavin Faith on the 67.
My eyes are getting bad. I better get my glasses on.
That's on the Moto Concepts machine.
I was going to say, because he's so tall, Vincent's a little guy, you know, and he rides a KTM, and that's a white bike. I was thinking, whoa, wait a minute.
248, Mitchell Oldenburg out of Texas on that Core MX Performance. Honda, again through that rhythm section there, going double in. And then slowing it down through the whoops. The whoops are quite deep, although not long. There is the 50, that's Kyle Peters. Of course, 4th place last week, surprising a lot of people.
See, when they come out of that sand, they got that big jump. Everyone trying to scrub and just kind of roll over. They don't want to jump off of it because it's such a flat landing. It's so hard on your body each and every lap. But Peters looked good last week.
Checkered flag is out. Last opportunity for these riders to put in a fast lap. Peters is going to finish up his last lap here by going around that option. He wants to go around the outside of that turn rather than jumping through the double. So with the checkered flag flying, Marvin Muskin will stay on top. Muskin, Wilson, Hahn, Freeze, Bell, Hill, Wharton, Peters, Dakotas, and Vincent, the top 10, followed by Faith, Thompson, Richardson, Swanepoel, Gully, Oldenburg, Zimmer, Ripple, Kilbarger, and Wentland. Welcome back into studio. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley bringing you what is the first round of 2, and we are pleased this week to be joined by a special guest from one of the other traveling circuses you'll have around the United States. It's not the actual circus. We have Supercross here, Monster Energy Supercross, and then there is the Advanced Auto Parts Monster Jam, and we now have a crossover star, Damon Bradshaw, who drives the Monster Energy truck. Damon, are you there? Oh, we can't hear him yet over there. There we go. I bet we can hear you now. Damon. Oh, no, we're still trying.
Still missing some audio from you, Damon. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yeah,
he's good
us.
there.
Okay.
Hey, they still call you the Beast from the East?
And occasionally, sometimes I'll hear it out of the crowd, but it's kind of cool to hear it. It brings back old memories.
I mean, you know, what transition? I mean, you go from racing Supercross and winning Supercross races, and now you're in the monster trucks. What was the hardest thing for you to transition to learn how to drive those big trucks?
Actually, it was the rear steer on the trucks that took me longer than anything. I mean, we know how to read dirt and we know how to read faces of jumps and different stuff like that, but the rear steer, which I drive with my right hand, was the hardest thing to remember. I mean, you go into a corner and you're used to turning into the corner. Well, you also have to remember that I have to lead with my rear in order to make the truck work. But it was it's not an easy transition, but it's kind of what you're used to. We're in stadiums with a lot of crowd. I mean, I would love to be there in Atlanta with you guys. That building was awesome to me. I mean, I raced the first Supercross in that building and then the last in Fulton County, and was able to win both of those. So I really enjoy going to the Georgia Dome, but I'm here with a sold-out crowd in Cowboy Stadium. I can't wait till tonight. I mean, the energy that's in this building when you fill the house, and our pit party starts here in about 10 or 15 minutes, so it's going to be exciting.
Damon, frequently you guys follow us into arenas or go in between, and you mentioned you're in Arlington this week in Cowboys Stadium using that same dirt. But how about the format you guys have, the jam format? How much of it is competition? How much of it is performance?
It's all competition for us. I mean, we're all very, very competitive, and this year we've been doing a couple of different racing formats. Some of the Monster Jam fans that have been in California, we call it SoCal style. It's a little bit different racing here this particular weekend. It's almost like roundy round racing for the trucks. So it is racing. We have 20 trucks. It'll just be an elimination, and then freestyle is like any other freestyle competition. It's a judging competition. So I'm not really into judging competitions. I just go out there and put on the very best show that I can put on, and I'm usually never happy with that, but as long as the fans are happy, then I'm happy. And then after that, man, we go up on the concourse and we sign autographs till everybody in this building's gone, or whoever wants an autograph. So that can go to 1 in the morning, or it can be over in 2 hours after the show's over. Just never really know. But we have, there's great Supercross fans and there's great race car fans, but we really do have the biggest fans that I've ever saw in my life is Monster Jam fans. They just are really dedicated to us, and it's Supercross for me was kind of that love-hate thing in relation with some of the fans, but really in this business, all of the people love all of the trucks and they really like all of the drivers, and so it's like the big family atmosphere. But we've got fans that have been tailgating since yesterday out here in the parking lot that'll be watching it on the Diamond Vision outside the stadium. So it's pretty impressive. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Here in Atlanta, you're watching Justin Barsha, 450A group, out there for time practice number 1.
Hey, Damon, I got to ask you, you got to be looking forward to the Auto Parts Monster Jam World Finals in Las Vegas on March 22nd and 23rd. That's a big event for you.
It is. It's our largest event of the year. It's there's so many other stadiums around the country that we could go to that would hold a lot more people than what Sam Boyd does. But we want to do it big, and there's no better place to do that than Las Vegas. And you're right, we're going to be there March 22nd and 23rd. And again, that event is, to be able to go in and purchase a double down package and get to see the trucks qualify and some practice, and then the next day is the race. I mean, this year it's 28 trucks, so it's going to be the largest amount of competing trucks that we've ever had there. There'll be over 100 monster trucks on display, so it's a fun weekend. I mean, I fly in on Monday night. Actually, I'm going to drive to that event with my family, and we're going to stay. So we're there from Monday until Monday. So it's a long event for us, but it's the funnest event because our fan interaction at that event is, in 2 days, I'll do 12 hours of autographs. Our pit parties are 6 hours long, and we'll have breaks.
Well, Damon, thanks very much for joining us. We know you have to rush out there to the pit party and please the fans. It's a lot of fun to see you still in motorsports and having a great time in front of the public, entertaining everybody.
Well, I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you guys. I've been following Supercross a little more this year than I have in the past. We're just so busy on the same weekends, but it's great to see the excitement and see some new faces there on the podium. It's awesome. Good luck to you guys.
All right, good luck, Damon. Take care, buddy.
All right, Beast from the East, Damon Bradshaw checking in with us from the Advanced Auto Parts Monster Jam Tour. They're in Arlington, Texas this week, and if you want to go to the World Finals, it's going to be an incredible performance. March 22nd for the Friday night program and March 23rd, the Saturday night program. You heard Damon talk about what an incredible week it is. You can actually purchase tickets by visiting www.monsterjam.com for more information.
It's always on a weekend where we got to be at a Supercross. Trey Kennard right now leading it. Actually, Millsaps now with a 52.9 right now. Millsaps and Kennard. Kennard at a 53.4. You're watching right now number 20. That's Brock Tickle on the RCH Factory Suzuki ride.
Davey Millsaps, 52.9.
He wants to win another one here in Atlanta.
Now, Davey Millsaps, the Magic Man, has been on an incredible roll. As you watch Brock Tickle.
There's Trey Kennard now.
Yeah, Trey Kennard on that 41 Team Honda Muscle Milk.
Millsaps kind of just checking things out. See how he pulled the hand off, just kind of to give it a little bit of a break there and rest his hand a little bit on the throttle hand, and just kind of on a cool down lap right now, just kind of checking things out.
Davey Millsaps back up to paces. We did have a yellow flag.
Ben LeMay giving way to Trey Kennard there, putting the left hand out. There's James Stewart. Good to see James back in action. I'm sure he had to have been disappointed last week, but got everything worked out now with that Suzuki. And, you know, he's won here before. You know, he's won here in both the 250 class and the 450 class.
It seemed like last week when I saw the interviews with James right after the clutch issue happened on the start line, that he just seemed injured, like hurt. Not physically, just hurt that had happened at that moment, because he had rode so well, and this year has been a pretty trying year for him and his team, and he had rode so well coming into the main with a lot of confidence, and then just the bad luck of having that happen at that particular time.
Well, and I think that, you know, after it hurts a little bit more when you see the guy that you straight up beat in the heat race win the main event. So you're kind of knowing, like, man, if I could have got a good start, and I'm running second and Villapoto's leading it, I've already passed him once in the heat race. But you know what? That's a heat race, and, you know, maybe Villapoto would have fought back a little harder and we would have had a great race. Who knows?
That's a great point, and I'll tell you what, if you thought this year was interesting already as James Stewart rockets over the post sand wall, it's about to get more interesting, because right now the fast time on track is being laid down by the super spoiler, the number 17 of Eli Tomac, 52.6, besting the points leading Davey Millsaps.
Is that
looks like Gerke down there.
I don't know, it looked like maybe that was
a
a
KTM
Honda.
or a Honda?
I thought that might have been PJ Larson. Yeah, it's PJ Larson now.
You're right, PJ Larson.
I don't know how he got off there. That's just one of the easiest doubles right there. And he was in between them, so he didn't crash on the backside of it. I don't know, maybe something broke on the bike or whatever. You know, when you come up to a double and you're racing up and you go to shut the throttle off and brake and just kind of give it a little blip, maybe it hiccuped or something for him to crash there, but unusual spot for him to crash. I mean, you see all the other guys, it's an easy double. I mean, there couldn't be no more than 15 to 20 feet apart, those jumps.
2 minutes to go in this time practice number 1 for the 450A group. Josh Hiller on the 75, Ryan Dungey on the 5. Eli Tomac, 52.6, followed by Davey Millsaps, 52.9. So throw a blanket over those guys, along with Trey Kennard on the 41. Then Ryan Dungey, Justin Barsha, Ryan Villapoto, James Stewart, Justin Brayton, Brock Tickle, and Chad Reed, followed by Short, Chisholm, LeMay, Alessi, Gerke, Albertson, Weimer, Pike, and Blos. And how about that? You see Chris Blos in practice A. Good for him, as well as Ben LeMay.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be huge for those guys. I mean, to get up here and run with these guys. As you're watching Ryan Dungey now, a two-time winner here in the 450 class. Back last year he won it, and then back in 2010. But you got to remember that Justin Barsha and Trey Kennard, they both finished 6th and 8th last week. They've kind of been struggling. These guys are coming back to the East Coast familiar territory. You know, they both won East Coast championships in that 250 Supercross class. But this guy, Eli Tomac, number 17, has never ridden a motorcycle on the East Coast in the soil. He's adapting to it well, but now Millsap's adapted a little bit better, a 52.3 for Millsaps.
There was a lot of talk last year about Eli Tomac riding some of these events on a 450 until he crashed in San Diego and was out, although fortunate for him, the timing that he was able to be back in time for the second part of the 250 West Series.
He's got a big smile on his face right now, ear-to-ear grin being on that 450. I did an interview with him earlier. Now James Stewart gets the fastest time with a 52.2.
So Stewart, Millsaps, Tomac, Brayton, Kennard, and Dungey, the top 6. Interesting that both Chisholm and Short have been very close. Both riders switching teams during the week. Kyle Chisholm going to JGR Toyota Yamaha, although he was on a Yamaha before.
A little
on the
easier
Velocity
for him.
3, same bike. Now Andrew Short, who went from the factory Honda to the privateer Honda, full privateer Honda, now to the BTO Sports KTM team.
Yeah, but they're getting some good components from KTM. You know, I talked to Andrew earlier, and he said he's happy, you know, and, you know, he rode for the factory KTM a couple years ago. So, I mean, for Andrew Short, it's not that big. And you got to remember that when he rode a 350. He didn't get a chance to ride that 450.
Well, and he was saying that they get the same motors that they get over there at the Red Bull KTM squad, and he feels quite comfortable on the bike. Said it was a little different early, but he had ridden it before and remembers how parts of it function and settings and so on, so he's in good shape as checkered flag flies.
There's Ryan Villapoto right there, the guy who won last weekend. A couple ruts starting to develop. You see in that corner, they're just braking hard. That's why I said a little bit softer here, conditions. But you mentioned Ryan Villapoto. He's won here before. In 2011, he's won here, and he's also had some horrible crashes here in the years before where his bike, you know, one time he looped out, the exhaust got plugged up, couldn't start the bike, lost a lot of points. He can't afford to lose any more points this year. He's already lost enough up to this point.
Ryan Villapoto has led the most laps but does not lead the points. So I'll give you the rundown of times here, and that'll be James Stewart with a 52.23 leader. And then it'll be Millsaps, Barsha, Tomac, Brayton, Kennard, Dungey, Villapoto, Tickle, Weimer, your top 10, followed by Chisholm. So Kyle Chisholm off to a good start, and then Chad Reed, Albertson, Andrew Short, LeMay, Alessi, Gerke, Bloss, Smith, and Pike. So that'll do it for 450 Group A practice. The AMA has been out doing a little sound testing after each one of these practice sessions.
Well, I don't know if it has anything to do with the dome. We'll have to ask him next week, but you're going to see another rider coming here.
That's Partridge.
That's Kyle Partridge, and they've already went through a sound test, but they just want to check and see after practice. I mean, these guys are they're kind of like, testing and research and developing, because once these motorcycles get hot and everything, they want to see what the decibels are after the motor's been ran for 10 hard minutes, and they're just giving them a little test to see, hey, are we still in that same 115.9, or did it get louder, and so they can implement and try to fix that.
All right, session number 1 over for us. We'll be right back after this. We will have 450 Group B and on through the lineup as we scroll ahead here on Supercross Live.
Are sport bikes in your blood? Do you like the power? Think 2 wheels are way better than 4? Well, how'd you like to turn your love of high-performance motorcycles into a kick-butt career? You can, right here at MMI. Come on. At MMI, you're going full throttle with intense hands-on training programs. Our students work hard, study hard, and it pays off. When you graduate here, you're going to be ready to work. MMI teams up with all the big boys: Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha, BMW Motorrad, Suzuki, and Harley-Davidson. You train on their bikes using the latest technology and equipment, and you have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Hey, you're only going to get that kind of training right here at MMI. We've graduated more technicians over the last 10 years than all the other schools combined. That's a whole lot of techs doing what they love. If bikes are in your DNA, then you should be working on these bad boys. Pick up the phone and let's talk about programs, campuses, and financial aid. You ready to ride? Let's go. Call now.
Want to stay up to date with Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship? Then follow all the action of Supercross on Facebook and Twitter. Get real-time updates and stay current on all the Monster Energy Supercross news. Comment on our Facebook wall and tweet us using hashtag Supercross Live. Watch videos from every city during the 2013 Supercross season on YouTube and share your photos on Instagram with hashtag Supercross Live. All season long, our Supercross fans can connect with riders, ask them questions, and even get info from the riders with exclusive information before all the big races. Be sure to check out Monster Energy Supercross on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else.
Our main objective is to make you guys happy, send you home with a smile.
How does he do it?
Now it's time to crank the wick up a little bit.
Oh man, here we go. And another! Oh, my. Oh yeah!
Look at this!
The battle is about to begin.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. This segment brought to you by the Cross Club. Do you want to be the first to buy 2014 Monster Energy Supercross tickets? Become a Cross Club member today for free and be the first to get a look at tickets starting May 6th of this year. Log on to supercrossonline.com for more information. Welcome back in studio. Kevin Barnett along with Jim Holley here on Supercross Live, and you'll probably recognize the man to my left, Kenny Watson, team manager for the RCH Dodge Siquan Casinos Suzuki team. Kenny, thanks for finding us up here in our location, taking a part out of your busy day.
It's always cool to talk to you guys.
I just like having you up here to rough up Jim a little bit.
No, that's a job in itself, but I try. I've known Jimmy a long time, so what comes around goes around with us.
Try to get some of these wrinkles out of your shirt, man.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Kenny, coming into this season, I think people had a lot of high expectations for your team, of course, with the support from Suzuki, the joining of Hart and Carmichael. Grade the season so far in your terms.
Well, first and foremost, when we started this program this year, we had high expectations, high as they could be with the type of rider caliber we had. We knew the field was going to be the toughest it's been in a long time, so we had realistic goals. You know, we weren't going to think that our guy was going to go out and win, but we had expectations that we wanted to be inside the top 10, every week. And we've come short a couple times, but we've been there a few times. So I always say, like, everyone's like, oh, you guys are 11th in points now. And I'm like, yeah, who's in 10th? Who's in 9th? I said, who got 4th at Anaheim? People don't know that. Yeah. They remember at the end of the year where you finish. So that's what our goals are. We want to overachieve, not underachieve, and just keep plugging away week by week, learn every time out, every practice, and just get better every time our guys are on the bike. So that's what we're looking to do. I mean, Brock had a great practice. He was, running 7th for a while, and he fell to 9th. But, hey, that's a goal for us to get a good time for practice, carry that on to the heat race so you get a good gate, get a good finish in the heat, a top 5, and carry that on to the main event. And that's what we've struggled on so far.
Fans and keyboard warriors want results now. They think that somehow because of the names that are attached, you're going to win now. But you guys started with a further vision, and you're in here for the long haul, not just this season. This is the beginning of something, is my understanding.
Yeah, when we had our new partnership with Suzuki and Ricky, it kind of came on a little bit late. We were talking to a few riders early on that are guys that are up there running, for championships right now, but at the end of the day, we just couldn't get our deal done because we didn't have that full commitment from Suzuki yet. And, all we had was our credibility on the line. And we didn't want to go take a rider and go, hey, we're getting A, B, and C, come sign with us. And then we don't get A, B, and C. Then we had to go down the road and not give them what we offered. So we decided to go in a different direction, which other teams have done and promise and don't deliver. We'd rather have our credibility and to build off of that. And you know what? We're happy with Brock Tickle. He was the best rider available. A lot of people don't realize if it was still going off of national championship points like they used to do, he finished 5th overall in points last year. So, hey, on paper, that was the best guy we could get, and that's what we got. And I think, we're doing a good job. And we got Josh Hill back. A lot of people think that wasn't the right decision. But I tell them, you know what, maybe you should start your own team and go hire who you want and stay off the keyboards.
There you go.
Update on 450 B group. Cody Gilmore up there on the 374, laying down a 55.8, followed by Travis Sewell, Justin Sipes, then Albers and Tapia, your top 5.
Yeah, a couple of the guys you'll see in here, they're starting to, especially around that first turn, they're getting into the concrete down there. The rut is developed where they're hitting down into the concrete. We'll see if we can't get a Tapia here, 95. Let's see if he goes into that inside. He's up and over right there. You'll see a little bit, see how his rear wheel slid around there. He's hitting that concrete and hitting that berm. But Kenny, I wanted to ask you, you talk about the Suzuki and the commitment. How long is that commitment with Suzuki? I mean, because to build a team like you're talking about, I mean, it's got to be a 3-year commitment. I don't know what it is.
Right now, we're on a commitment with them for 2 years.
2 years.
And you know what? We could not be more happy with what Suzuki has done with our program. We have everything we need, and they give us every part, for testing. They're there 100%. We could not be happier with the program that Suzuki has put in front of us. For Kerry and I to step aboard to have a full factory program, it's amazing. It's a dream come true for us. Like, we'd never thought that would happen from a team that had go-go dancers on, boxes, 4 years ago to a full factory program where we went in the total different direction. And, it came around. We had a 4-year plan. If we weren't making that next level, we were going to walk away. We gave it a shot. It didn't work out, but it seems like things are working out, so we're pretty happy.
Let me ask you this. Last year, I went by your shop, a very nice shop in Las Vegas. You gave me a nice tour, but at that point, I was talking to you about some of the amateur kids you were talking about. You were helping out. Are you still doing that program and trying to develop riders to come into Supercross?
Yeah, we have. There's one kid in particular that we help. His name is Jamie Gardner. He's from Las Vegas, and we support him pretty solid. He's an intermediate. He's 15 years old, but that's the grassroots of the sport. These guys in this practice were probably amateurs last year, and it's stepping stone. But just having the support and to help an amateur kid is cool. Suzuki, they have an amateur program that we're going to try to maybe work with them in the future and get more involved. But, definitely, personally, myself, I'm always about helping the amateur, the privateer. Last week, some girl came by that was working for a privateer guy that needed side panels. And I didn't have any, so I took them off a spare bike we had and gave them to her. I was that guy in the pits, and I'm all about helping amateurs, privateers, whoever.
Well, and you've been there and done that. I mean, you've come up through the ranks as a privateer and struggling as a mechanic and trying to get those parts. And now, like you said, you're a team manager of a successful Supercross team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think in any business, you want to call it, there's stepping stones. And, no one starts at the top and just steps in and has a position, as a manager or a mechanic. Myself, I started out as a privateer mechanic for 7 years, driving across the country, paying my dues, and I just learned the trade. And on our program, there's so many moving parts now that we've had to bring some more employees in and bring some more people in to help us with the Suzuki factor. So making sure that we can produce at the level we need to. So in the future, when that A rider comes available, whoever it is, that we have all the right people in all the right places so we can facilitate that top-notch rider. And that's what we've been working on for the last couple of years.
Kenny, you mentioned the fact you guys have now factory support. What's so different about working with factory support? What are maybe some of the demands that places on you guys? Everyone knows, okay, the parts are going to be better, but what's different about the demands on you and your race team?
Well, first and foremost, it's the opportunity and the options you have. When you're a privateer, you usually go to Pro Circuit, whoever does your stuff, and they say, here you go. You don't have an option. Being with a factory, there's way more options. You have A, B, and C to try if you want to try a different head or a different, EFI, you could go out and we could adjust the EFI, every time we're on the track. The data that we collect on the bike, so we could come back and track it. There's just numerous of stuff, and but I'll have to say, nowadays the bikes are so good right off the showroom floor. I mean, Shorty proved it. You could take a bike off the showroom floor, put some good suspension on it, and put a pipe on it and a piston, and you can go out and compete.
Rundown of the times here in the 450B group. Cody Gilmore tops with 55.8, followed by Sewell, Sipes, Tapia, Pipes, Albers, Gerke, Stewart, Wennerstrom, Entignap, Hall, Oswald, Harris, Alcorn, Greco, Kendall, Schneider, Schlatt, Schmidt, and Ackleden.
I like that guy's name, Pipes. That was always, I love that name.
That is a moto name. Welcome back in studio, Kevin Barnett, along with Jim Holley.
Or a broadcaster. He's got some pipes.
He does.
And Kenny Watson. And Kenny, a lot of folks were kind of surprised to see Carmichael and Hart join. What's different about working with Carmichael? You've worked with Hart for a long time. What has changed with Carmichael in the mix?
A lot of people really don't realize that Ricky Carmichael's a businessman, and his brand is his business. Ricky Carmichael, he has the video games, he has his RCU, he has his amateur races. So he has a brand himself, and it's really not that different. I mean, it's just Ricky has way more input on the bike, setting up the bike and walking the track and working with the riders individually more than Kerry or I could ever bring to the table. And Ricky approached me before Kerry, because I've known Ricky a long time and we're really good friends, and said, hey, I have this opportunity. I might want to start a team. And I thought he was coming to me like, hey, I want to hire you as the team manager. I thought I was being, oh, yeah, Ricky Carmichael. And I'm like, dude, I'm good here. He's like, I don't want to hire you. I want to join you. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, do you think it would be possible if we joined forces? And I was just like, I can't speak for Hart, but I'm going to this time. Yeah, for sure. He's like, you sure he'd do it? And I go, hands down, hands down. So it's last year at Anaheim, 2012 is when the ball started rolling. That's when we had our first meeting, and that's when RC took the piece to Suzuki, and it just snowballed from there. So to answer your question, they're a lot alike in business. Kerry has a very strong marketing background, and Ricky has a really strong racing, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and they both run it as a business. And a lot of people don't know, but Ricky Carmichael runs a tight ship, and it's like the way his training and riding was, he puts that same dedication and heart into being an owner of a team, and he's not, I'm the owner and laid back. He's hands-on. I mean, he is hands-on.
Well, we've talked to him before. I mean, he's actually riding the bike and helping the guys test because, he's got a good feel for that Suzuki.
Yeah, matter of fact, we're headed back to Florida after St. Louis, and the whole team's staying at his house for 2 weeks, and we're going to start our outdoor testing, and Ricky Carmichael's our outdoor test rider.
Well, you mentioned the outdoors. Excuse me. Brock Tickle had a successful outdoor season. At this point here, you want to try to get him in that top 10, like you said, and he's had the past 3 races, top 10 finishes. He's sitting 11th in the points, but is Ricky starting to gear up now, and you guys also, for that outdoor? I mean, normally, that's a little early to start testing.
Yeah, it is, but before you know it, it's really not. I mean, it's 2.5 months away.
Right.
So if we could get a jump on it and just start little stuff. So, Ricky's going to go out and get a base. So what that means is he's going to go out and get the bike close as possible that he thinks it's going to be close to racing. Those other guys can jump on it and get familiar with it and make those little adjustments so we don't have to go out 2 weeks before and just pound.
This is a familiar site for you, the KTM Junior Supercross Challenge. Actually,
I remember a little fella out there named James Holley.
Yeah, he rode.
That's Jim's son. He rode the KTM Challenge.
Yeah, actually, both of my kids, Jared
James
rode.
And Jared?
Someone, that number 2 right there, that's Evan Ferry. That's Timmy Ferry's son. And his grandfather's actually
Big Tim. I seen him last night.
Yeah,
He's
Tim.
super pumped on that. I told Timmy, I said, you're going to look pretty funny wearing that orange stuff, because I remember you told me you would never ride a KTM. Now you got to be out there supporting your kid. That's so it's cool like to see this, because I rember Brian Deacon's kid rode a couple weeks ago, so it's like, damn, getting old.
Well, the thing about it is, I was going to say, is it's nice to hear a sound of a 2-stroke back in the Supercrosses, and back when you and Brian Deegan won the Los Angeles Coliseum.
We did.
Back in the 250. Actually, he was riding a 125 Suzuki, but I don't know if you know this, Kevin, but when Deegan crossed the finish line, they were so happy. Deegan just ghost rode his bike off the finish line. Just let it go. just let it go. And I think some of the AMA guys had talked to you after, hey, man, you got to kind of hang on to the bike.
Well, what happened was they tried to.
It's like doing a flyby on the tower.
Yeah.
We had a protest because Robbie Raynard's dad protested us because he said he wasn't on the motorcycle when across the finish line, and Duke Finch was the head referee at the time, and he was saying, we're gonna withhold, they're gonna hold the protest, and I'm like, dude, he's just mad because he passed his kid, and so he got second. So you're really gonna take a race win away from this guy? He's celebrating. And that was an awesome night, though. That was really cool. And by the way, we weren't on a 125. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
it was a little bit bigger inside, but the class was 125.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, I was
going to put that in the
I'm
Jim Holley
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding. Everyone, don't get all
bummed. He's just stirring the pot right now.
That's me. I love the chili sauce.
He thought he had a big bore in there or something.
No, that would have been Barry Carson. Big bore Barry.
Right, there you go.
I'm just kidding, Bear.
But I mean, now that you got the factory bikes, if Brock Tickle wins his first Supercross in the 450 class and Ghost rode the Suzuki, you're okay with it, right?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Until times are different, but I will say this.
The team's celebrating that night.
Heck yeah. I'll celebrate if we get top 5. I like to celebrate anyways. I'll celebrate if we make it out of here healthy. How about that? Hey, but check this out. The cool thing about the whole thing is, talking about celebrating, is at San Diego when Josh Hill came back when he won the LCQ, he did the old hands off the thing and the dirt shark, and he came back to the truck, and someone on the team said, hey, next time you take both hands off the handlebars and both feet off that, don't even stop. Just keep going and fill the thing up with gas and don't come back.
And that would have been RC.
I'm not going to say any names,
well,
but I think things are a little bit different now.
I had commented on it myself. I mean, I saw that and I go, I can't believe you do it. But, I mean, the guy's just so happy to be racing again and everything. It slipped out. But like you said, I mean, taking the hands off the bars, something happens, you crash, and you put yourself back in the hospital again for a few days.
He was just super excited, and we talked to him about it, and he was a little overwhelmed. He was, doing his interviews, and he maybe missed a couple sponsors here and there. But you know what? I had to give it to him. I was so proud of that kid, and I said, you know what? We reached our goal. Our goal was just to get you back here. We spent 2 years supporting you to get you at least back on the track, and that's what we did. And, hats off to Josh for hanging in there and working because, a lot of people would have given up and a lot of teams would have given up on him. We still paid him and still supported him to get him back to where he was. And then there was some talk going on. You should have hired, this guy or that guy. Why are you giving him a chance? Because you know what? We're not a cutthroat team and we care about people.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, you give people a chance. I saw Kyle Partridge. He filled in for him at one of the rounds, and he was doing great until he had crashed and gotten off. But, I mean, you guys have supported Kyle Partridge for a lot of years, too.
Yeah, this year was really difficult for me because I have a personal friendship with a lot of the guys on the team last year with Kyle and especially Ivan. And I was in Ivan Tedesco's wedding, and, Josh Hansen. And all three of those guys didn't come back. And a lot of politics played in that, and it was really a hard offseason for me because a lot of my friendships I wouldn't say got ruined, but have changed because of business. And, I told Carrie and I told Ricky, I said, from this point on, I cannot look at this as a friendship deal with my friends. And if they can't realize that this is a business and they can't do it, I can't help them anymore in a friendship. And the thing with Kyle Partridge, I said, I think you deserve this opportunity to get back on this bike. We need it. It's a one-race shot. Come show us what you can do. And he did. He was riding good.
Well, and I asked Kerry specifically on the track walk. I said, look, what happens if Kyle Partridge puts that thing up on the podium? What are you going to do next week when Josh Hill comes back? He says, we're going with Josh Hill. Josh Hill is our guy. I mean, he's our guy. We stand behind our guy, and Partridge came in and did a good job. I mean, he didn't finish on the podium, but, I mean, what do you do on that? I mean, I'm sure if he would have got a podium, I'm sure you guys would have found a spot and another bike maybe to get him on there, maybe.
Yeah, I would say if you would have got a podium, he would have been riding in someone's practice bike, or maybe Hill would have been on his practice bike.
Right.
But you never know. But, like at the end of the day, we just try to stick behind our people and make a difference in people's lives. This is a business, and but we also care about people off the track. You know what I mean? It's just not, we want what's best for them and their families. So that's where we're at.
Kenny, you've been around this a long time, and you mentioned your experience and how the entire industry has changed. put that with the responsibility of the riders. How has the responsibility of the riders changed? You said earlier, guy misses a couple of sponsors. That's a problem. How much do you have to work with them, and how different are the responsibilities for the riders today versus 10 years ago?
Well, 10 years ago, the riders that I had didn't have any responsibility. They weren't even, it was a joke, put it that way. But nowadays, it's way more professional, and I can speak for our team. We have a lot more corporate sponsors. So I think there has to be a professionalism that has to be withhold in that. And, as in Josh missed the sponsors, those are the people that paid us to pay him. So I felt that it was his responsibility to give back to them, not just to us. And he understands that. We work through it. But at the end of the day, I really, really believe strongly that the athlete today is a much more professional, spoken on the podium, gives back to their sponsors than ever before. I mean, if you see those guys out there, I think that maybe on the show, the live program, instead of them giving up, maybe they should have a ticker with the sponsors going across the bottom for every guy so they can have their own identity. You know what I mean? And so they're not robots. Back in the day, you had The Rock. Michael Rocco was like a robot on the podium. Then you had like Kevin Windham on the podium. He was a little bit more free-going. Everybody has their own different style.
Yeah, it's a challenge for those riders to blend their personality with all the responsibilities they have running through their head, but also a challenge for teams this year. We've talked to Nathan Ramsey and the troubles that they've had. We've talked to Christina Denny and how she has solved the sponsorship problem well, and you guys continue to solve the sponsorship problem or the sponsorship demands needed to run a race team year after year. What's made you guys a little bit different in your ability to attract sponsorship?
Well, first and foremost, I shouldn't say it really helps. It's probably the biggest reason is Carey Hart. When this first thing started, we went out and got sponsors off of his name. No one really sponsored us because we've done anything at the races. I think what we have done is have a brand, or we could prove to the sponsors that there's a return on their investment. So instead of saying, "Oh, I saw your logo on TV for 30 seconds, sweet," but how could you prove that? Like, how is it going to show that you sold something?
Right.
We've learned how to go back to our sponsors to show, hey, this is how we do it, and this is how you get a return for your money. This is how we put sponsor A with sponsor B work together. So I think a lot of people in this industry has been complaining, poor me, this industry has more money, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I've learned from Carey, you need to get into action, and you need to put one foot in front of the other and do not give up. And keep going after those sponsors day in and day out. And I think there's not that much money in the industry anymore. I think the days of the factory coming in and giving $10 million to a factory Honda team is gone. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be all self-funded teams like the JGR team, like our team, where all the factory is going to do is supply bonuses and supply bikes and parts, and they're not even going to have a race team. It went that way in car racing. It has to go this way because the motorcycle industry isn't what it used to be. So there's not that much money in it.
I've seen you bring in a casino, and you brought in an automotive company. What do you think is the next frontier, the next target?
I think whatever makes sense at this point in time. For us, there's a lot of different people that we're still talking to. Sequan Casino in El Cajon, California was a huge risk for them. They didn't see how them sponsoring us outside of their region is going to help them. So what our job is to promote the casino and people in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, when you go to San Diego, there's a casino 20 minutes from SeaWorld, and this is the casino. So you have to show them how you can do it.
Sounds like a PowerPoint presentation.
Exactly. But the thing is, if they trust you, you got to go do it to get the renewal and show them what the ROI on their investment. Like when we do events there, we've done a Carey Hart Invitational Golf Tournament. We've done jump shows there. We've done meet and greets. We did an unveiling with Carey Hart's first backflip in the casino. Every time that we went there, their games increased, their revenue increased, so they're happy. They're happy. So that's what it's about with the sponsorship, having a great partner that works together, and they see a return. They're making money. So if they're making money, they're pretty much money paying for your race team, so they're pretty much getting free advertisement. at the end of the day.
Right.
To make a long story short, that's pretty much how it works.
But I mean, it also is hard for you when we've had other casinos that have been in here, and sponsoring guys, and they've went away, and that probably was brought up in your meetings, I'm sure.
I can't speak for what happened with other teams and their sponsors, but I know sponsorships don't work out when you don't live up to your end of the agreement.
Right.
I've learned, I met a gentleman that everybody probably heard of named Roger Penske a few years ago at a Chrysler deal we went to. And I sat there and talked to him for like an hour just about the same thing. Like, how do you keep your sponsors? Because he was telling me he had Miller Lite at the time for 17 or 18 years. I said, how do you keep a sponsor like that happy and keep them motivated to keep going? He's like, you do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
And you get a partner in this, and it works. You don't jump around. And sometimes, let's say if Budweiser came to me and they offered me double the money, well, sometimes it's not always better to take that double the money for 2 years, because they could go away in 2 years, then you have nothing.
Right.
So there's little things like that you learn, and it's all about, we always say under promise and over deliver for our sponsors.
All right. Kenny Watson, you heard it here from him. Under promise, over deliver. Thanks, Kenny, for spending some time with us here and educating us about what's going on for
Thank you guys very much.
Good luck, and I can't wait. I can't wait for Minnesota, because that's where Josh Hill won his first 450 event.
It is.
It's going to be a homecoming for him.
All right.
In Minnesota.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
All right, Supercross Live. We have much more coverage to come, more guests, more racing, lots more to come here on Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com.
Are sport bikes in your blood? Do you like the power? Think 2 wheels are way better than 4? Well, how'd you like to turn your love of high-performance motorcycles into a kick-butt career? You can, right here at MMI. Come on. At MMI, you're going full throttle with intense hands-on training programs. Our students work hard, study hard, and it pays off. When you graduate here, you're going to be ready to work. MMI teams up with all the big boys: Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha, BMW Motorrad, Suzuki, and Harley-Davidson. You train on their bikes using the latest technology and equipment, and you have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Hey, you're only going to get that kind of training right here at MMI. We've graduated more technicians over the last 10 years than all the other schools combined. That's a whole lot of techs doing what they love. If bikes are in your DNA, then you should be working on these bad boys. Pick up the phone and let's talk about programs, campuses, and financial aid. You ready to ride? Let's go. Call now.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. A little track maintenance going on. We want you to know that this segment is brought to you by the the Nuclear Cowboys. The 2013 Nuclear Cowboys Tour will be here in Atlanta next week, March 2nd and 3rd. Go to nuclearcowboys.com for tickets and more information. If you want to interact with us this week, do it on Twitter. Hashtag SXOnSpeed or hashtag Supercross Live. We're taking questions both off of Twitter and also off of live stream. Jim, you're happy to answer most anyone's question here throughout our 3 hours, and I think we'll have Kevin Windham later today, and he always enjoys answering some of the listener and viewer questions. And you want to know who's watching this show? There's some people you may recognize watching this show. Donnie Hansen.
Yeah, whole shot, Donnie Hansen. Actually, we forgot to mention earlier in the broadcast, he's actually won here a couple years here in Atlanta, but I believe that's at the old stadium, Fulton County Stadium there. But, Donnie's listening to us, Supercross Live. Thanks, Donnie, for listening. And where's Josh?
I know Ricky watches this. Ricky Carmichael watches this program when he's out of town with the Arenacross, going to different events and signing autographs, doing hot laps when he has an opportunity to for AMSOIL Arenacross and the Ricky Carmichael Race to Supercross, Path to Supercross. We now have a few interviews for you. It's our Track Talk segment. This week we had an opportunity to catch up with a few guys. Andrew Short, who switched teams, Kyle Chisholm, who switched teams, and also Eli Tomac didn't switch teams. He just switched classes. Here are those guys.
Jim Holley, Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com here in Atlanta, and here with a guy that's got some new colors, Andrew Short. You're riding a KTM for the BTO Motorsports KTM ride now.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week for me. A couple days on the bike, getting used to it. I've been on the KTM before in 2011, but I'm excited to join the BTO Sports Group and see how this weekend goes.
You mentioned crazy for you. I'm going back to the start of the year. It's been a crazy year for you. I mean, you were on the factory Honda with McGrath backing you and Larry Brooks and those guys. That went away. Then you went and bought a privateer Honda. You're still up there in the points. You're still putting in great rides. But how did all this come about?
Yeah, like you said, it's been a very challenging time for me, and I'm just thankful that Forrest and Vince got together with BTO Sports and brought me on board. But it took a lot of people, honestly, from John Eric at KTM and a lot of BTO sponsors as well. Palmetto Motorsports, they do our bikes, and then KTM massages them, with the motors and suspension. So it took a lot of people to put the whole deal together. I'm just excited to have some stability on the track and be able to ride the same bike week in, week out. So hopefully good things to come and see how it goes.
Are you going to be able to get some good parts from KTM, or basically production stuff, or is KTM helping you?
Yeah, no, KTM does the motors. There's a guy, Dudley, who does it at the same shop, where obviously Dungey's bike's done. And same with Rob from RG3, our suspension, same components that Dungey and the factory team runs. So our bikes are more than capable of winning, as you've seen with Dungey. So I feel like I'm in a good spot, make the most of it. I think these first few weeks are going to be the toughest because I simply don't have a lot of time on the bike. But each week that goes on, I think we'll become more competitive.
Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Kevin Barnett out here on Track Walk and finding JGR KTM's Kyle Chisholm. We had new riders, new bikes this week. You're one of those guys, but you stay on the same color.
Yeah, it's awesome to be able to stay with Yamaha, and but to have the whole Toyota JGR team behind me is awesome. Just really thankful for the opportunity, and going to go out there and try my best. I've only gotten to ride the bike for a little bit. We had press day here the last couple of days, so I got a little bit of time on the bike, but it's awesome. I wish Josh speedy recovery and try to make the most of this awesome opportunity.
Yeah, you're taking over for Josh Grant. And how different are the bikes coming from that Velocity 3 Yamaha to the JGR machine?
They're a bit different. It's still a Yamaha though, so that's obviously a good thing, and a bike that I really like. And just a few different things. They have a little bit different gas tank, shroud, setup with the seat and everything, it's awesome. It's a great improvement, and just little things. You got titanium bolts and all the goodies on there, and different suspension with Showa, which is really good. So got a few differences, and the good thing with the JGR guys is they have anything I'm looking for, they can do. That they have the capabilities to kind of do whatever you want. So it's awesome to just have those kind of people behind you.
Yeah, it's simply an amazing shop. I had an opportunity to go through their NASCAR operation. It's unreal. How do you decide where to spend your weeks now with the change in team?
We'll figure it out. I actually just got the call Tuesday this week, so it's been a bit of a rush, and it's been awesome for everyone to put everything together this quick, and also for my old team to allow me to take the opportunity and everything. So It's been good. That's kind of in the plans and the works right now. I'm sure I'll be up there in North Carolina doing some testing, and I'm only in Florida also, so I'm not too far away, and I ride down at Chad Reed's place too. So I'm sure I'll be back and forth between the two, and looking forward to it.
Okay, you hit your head a couple of weeks ago. You took a week off. There's so much attention being paid to concussions. How much attention is he getting from the rider side? How much are you guys concerned about it?
I mean, I definitely think it's a concern. You know, I've had my dumb days. You know, I like to call it. You know, back when I'd hit my head and not maybe give it the time to rest. But yeah, I hit my head at San Diego. Luckily, I didn't have any other injuries. Shoulder was a little sore, but everything checked out good. So they kind of. It wasn't a 100% thing, but they kind of recommended I sit out last week in Dallas. So it was a bummer to sit out and basically miss 2 races. But you know, in the end, you know, everything happens for a reason, and maybe it allowed this maybe to come together a bit. And you know, so trying to stay positive. And yeah, definitely concussions aren't anything to mess with though. So I try to be smart with it.
Okay, this week the Georgia Red Clay, you've gotten a chance to look a little bit at the track. Give me your impressions.
The track's good. Obviously, this is always one of the best dirts that we get to ride on. The Georgia Clay is awesome. It can be a little deceiving sometimes, and be slippery though, so got to be careful of that. And it's kind of, aside from Daytona, one of the home actual indoor supercrosses, you know, for me. So a lot of family and friends here, and looking forward to tonight.
How different are the expectations with JGR? What's Coy telling you?
I've been here for a couple days for press day, so I just saw Coy this morning. He just got here, you know, yesterday, and came up to me and said, top 3 is what we're expecting. He was joking, you know, no, that would be awesome. But no, they're being really good, you know, and no pressure. Just go out there and do my best. And whether that is 3rd or whether it's 10th, you know, I got to do my best, and we'll see where we're at, and, you know, be able to go put some testing in and improve from there.
Jim Holley, Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com here in Atlanta. It is an East Coast round, and look who we got, Eli Tomac. Welcome to the 450 class.
Yeah, I'm the first timer on the East, so you know, it's going to be fun. I definitely enjoy riding the 450. I was able to put a couple weeks on it. I took last weekend off. Obviously, you know, I think it was a good thing because the Dallas track didn't look like it was a ton of fun. But, you know, it's going to be good racing. I did race Monster Cup on the 450, so it's not totally new. But, you know, I think anytime you go out there and race against the guys that are on the line right now, it's going to be a whole new experience, too. So it's just going to be a good thing for me.
You had a chance here to walk the track with Buddy Antonez, your mechanic, your dad, John. They got a section over here that you can either go to the inside or the outside. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're right here before the finish line, and there's like a little kind of a wall double. So I kind of think the double is going to be the main line, but you can maybe squirt around the outside there and rail someone, but we'll see. A lot of things can change during practice, and you wouldn't expect it being faster or better.
Coming from Colorado, you know, it's a little bit hard dry out here. This gives you an opportunity to see the East Coast tracks, and what I mean by that is they're a lot softer than out west. They're a lot ruddier than out west.
Yeah, it's gonna be new for me, but I'm definitely not afraid of the ruts. I like soft tracks, so yeah, I'm ready for it, and really to get on some real dirt. You know, we're on some real loam now. You know, the California tracks, the dirt's just it's not exactly awesome, if you can call it that.
Well, I mean, that makes it a lot easier riding a 450. I mean, you can square things off, you can run it in deeper, you can get on the brakes harder, you can get on the throttle harder. It's not so much throttle control.
Yeah, I guess it could be a good thing because you do have more traction, but you're on a 450, so it might yank you around a little bit more. So
yeah, you better not be on the back of the seat.
Yeah, you gotta stay forward, or you'll be getting some arm bump.
What are you expecting coming out of here? Obviously, you know, you get the bike in the main event, but what are you going to be happy with? I know you're a competitor. I know you've won 4 rounds out west on the 250 class. I mean, you want to be on that podium, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I'm shooting for, is somewhere near the podium. So as long as I get it a good start, you know, I'm pretty sure that the 250 guys' pace right now is right there with the 450 guys. So I don't think speed will be a huge issue, but we'll just go out there and make it happen.
What's some of the differences from a 250 to the 450? Obviously, you got more power, you got more laps, you got 5 more laps in the main event, you got more horsepower, a little more heavier bike, heavier competition. But what's been the hardest and the easiest thing for you transitioning to that 450?
Well, like the first day I did hop on the thing, like I actually did get a little bit tight, you know, just because the torque out of the corners is way more than a 250, and you actually you kind of have to change your timing on the track too, because the way the thing can just go through the rhythm sections faster. So it just, I guess it's more timing thing for me when I first got on it.
All right, we heard it from Eli Tomac making his debut in that 450 class. And first time he's been on that East Coast soil.
Back live here on Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley. So we watch the track get cleaned up in between practice sessions here. And hey to everybody there in the stadium. We're up on the big screen right now. So if you're in the stadium tonight, welcome. We hope you're in for a great night of racing. Certainly a fantastic event, Jim, a destination event for the Supercross fans.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I enjoy coming here anytime I can get out of LA and head to Atlanta. I just really enjoy the enthusiasm that the crowd has here. I mean, 70,000 plus here. You know, the addition of Eli Tomac coming over and racing with these guys. And, you know, you just really can't pick who's going to win in that 450 class. I mean, there's a lot of different variables. Who gets out of the gate good, who has good qualifying times, and who stays out of trouble. I mean, last weekend we saw Ryan Villapoto get a good start, and he ran a good race, you know, to lead all 20 laps, to come back and get a win for him. Gained some more points on Millsaps, but Millsaps is right there in that second on the podium, and Dungey was third. So you got those guys. Chad Reed, I'm waiting for him to catch fire. He's going to get up there and win one of these things, as well as Trey Kennard. Barsha, hopefully he can win another one. Phoenix, it's been a long time since we've seen him up on the top of the box, but that East Coast also is going to be good. I mean, a lot of people thought maybe with Dean Wilson out there, you know, he's just going to walk away with this championship, but I don't think so. I mean, he's going to win his races.
Marvin Muskin fast today.
Marvin Muskin was fast. Will Hahn, I liked him when he was out there. Blake Wharton. I mean, there's a lot of guys out here, and those rookies. I mean, what can you say? I mean,
Zach Bell is fast, no doubt.
He is fast, but the fastest rookie last week in Arlington with that 5th place was Justin Hill, and I look for some podiums from Justin Hill.
Remember, we're here every Saturday race day, 2 to 5 local time. Opportunity for you to see practice and qualifying, as well as some of our special guests. We just finished up talking to RCH team manager Kenny Watson. We've had a lot of great guests here. I think we're going to have Kevin Windham again later today. Kevin Windham has made quite a few visits to our program along with Nick Way, so we're bringing you a lot of different angles here on Monster Energy Supercross, Supercross Live, 2 to 5 local race time. And if you're in the Monster Energy stage in the Party in the Pits right now here in Atlanta, which always goes off, or if you're watching us on the big screen right now, welcome. We also take questions. If you hashtag Supercross Online or hashtag SX On Speed, we will take some of your questions, and we are available on live stream. We've had a couple of questions here. Joanne Aravatakis says, who will win the main events? Well, Joanne, we're going to get to that later.
We picks.
Have our predictions. We'll have our picks at the end of the show, and I think we'll have Kevin Windham in here. We'll review last week, and we'll look forward to this week. Another one from DHAG22 wanted to know about K-Dub and his announcing career. Will he continue as an announcer? He's moonlighting on TV, and he's been moonlighting on our show, so we'll ask him. We'll get to the bottom of it.
He's got a lot of young kids. I don't know. I know he enjoys spending time with his kids, but we'll see. He's a great announcer. I mean, he does a great job, and you know what? He just came off of the Supercross tour, and you know he's got a good analogy on what goes on. You know, because there's a different style now compared to when I rode to where Kevin Windham's riding.
It'd be good to have that sense of history. Jim can bring us the really old stuff. Kevin can bring us the sort of old stuff, and we'll have plenty for you out there in the Monster Energy Supercross fandom. We can take a break here on Supercross Live here in just a moment. We have much more to come. Of course, a second round of practice coming up, as well as Kevin Windham. Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Track maintenance continues here, the break between Practice 1 and Practice 2. If you're in stadium, welcome. You're in for a great night of racing. If you're watching us online, you're also in for a great night of racing, 7:30 Eastern Time. It will be live on Speed, so you can watch all the action from here in the Georgia Dome live in HD on Speed. And then no matter what, your Supercross, Monster Energy Supercross weekend continues tomorrow. Another CBS special. I hope you caught the Ryan Villopoto Champion special a couple of weeks ago, an insight into the life and times of Ryan Villopoto in a way that's never been seen before. Well, now it's an opportunity for you to watch Path to Las Vegas, of course, the final event of the year being held the 4th and weekend of the 4th and 5th of May out there in Las Vegas on Saturday night at Sam Boyd Stadium. And this will preview the previous half of the season. It will be on Sunday at noon Eastern, Path to Las Vegas, the midseason review.
Yeah, that's going to be a good show. They're going to preview Millsaps leading with that red number 1, or the number 18 with the red background there, and RV, you know, like I said, that 16th, we talked about it earlier, and some of the struggles that he's had, you know, coming through. And a lot of the struggles have been bad starts. So I think he might have that figured out. I know James Stewart last weekend, it had to have been hard for him to, after winning that heat race and passing Villopoto, to watch Villopoto win that main event in Arlington. But James Stewart looks good here tonight. He had fast time. We'll see if that holds up. But James Stewart is due for a win, along with like some other guys we had talked about.
Track walk happening right now here in the Georgia Dome. Opportunity for some special fans to get out on the track and see how big the track really is. It's hard, even when you're up top or you watch on TV, this view that we're seeing now, you don't get true perception as to how big and how far apart these obstacles are.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about that. A lot of these people are up in the stands and they say, you know, I can do that. I that's easy or whatever.
Yeah, let's be clear, you can't.
Yeah, well, when they get down on here, their wife tells them, and then, well, I thought you said you could do it. Well, that's from up there. That's not down here looking at the track. That's a pretty steep wall. That's a triple that they're going over that's, you know, 65, 70 feet. And then not only that, the sand, you know, it's quite impressive when you get the chance to have the opportunity to walk the track and see. Although they're getting a chance to walk the track after the Dirtworks guys have been out there and they made it all nice and smooth. I mean, you know, with all the ruts in there and getting down to the bottom of the concrete in some sections. But nevertheless, it's just a great opportunity if you ever have a chance to go down and do the track walk here in Atlanta or whatever Supercross we're in. You know, the next week we'll be in St. Louis. There'll be a whole group of different people to walk the track. But I'm always impressed. Sometimes I get a chance to go out there and listen to the comments that they have. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the obstacles themselves are daunting. Forget about if you have to land on a track that's beaten up after 15 laps of the 250 and then go out there and try and finish 20 in the 450 main event. Certainly a challenge to even the best of the professionals that we get an opportunity to watch each and every week here on Monster Energy Supercross. Jim, long championship chase halfway through just about after tonight for the 450 class. But the 250 East Coast Series just started. Last week, first week, we talked about 4 big guys up there, Muskin, Hahn, Wharton, and Dean Wilson. Dean Wilson came out and led every lap last week. Reflect on me from his week, and how does that project to this week?
Well, it depends on that practice crash that he had. You know, I mean, hopefully he's healthy. He had another little crash here in that first practice session out there where he lost the front end. But Dean, I think, is the class of the field right now. He's the guy that should be in that 450 class, but we had Kenny Watson on earlier, and, you know, with sponsorship dollars, that team that he signed with went away. But, I mean, Dean Wilson, you know, he's the guy that everybody's got to beat. I mean, he's the guy with that red background on that number 15 Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki bike. So, I mean, if you're a guy that finished second and third last week, hey, that's a good basis to start, you know, the season. But now we got to figure out how we're going to beat Dean Wilson, and hopefully someone, you know, can figure it out here tonight. We can have a great race because, I mean, Dean made it look easy last week.
Okay, in second place it was Blake Wharton, but it was not an easy evening and not the ideal start to the season for him. Fighting for a transfer spot in his heat, actually down on the face of the jump. His bike timed through, but they later had to adjust it because he did not cross the actual top of the jump on his bike, so then sent to the LCQ, had to advance through that, but then had a good ride in the main.
Well, that's getting back to the point that we talked about with starts. You know, he had such a bad start in the heat race and had problems, and he had to come up and he had to try a last-ditch effort before the finish line to try to get the bike into the main event. He got the bike into the main event, but he didn't get himself into that main event because, like you said, you got to be on top of that motorcycle. And then having to come through that LCQ, he ends up winning that. He gets 19th gate pick, and I'm surprised at the start that he got coming from the far right-hand side of the gate there for Blake Wharton, and he rode a great race to finish up in that second. But, and Will Hahn to get on the podium, and he was buried in the back of the pack with his start. And Will Hahn had a crash. I mean, remember that heat race? It was up front. They were battling. It was him and Wilson and Muskin. All these guys were battling it out, and it was a great heat race. But he ended up getting, I think, 5th or 6th in the heat race and didn't have quite that gate pick. I mean, you heard a little bit about it when Kenny Watson was talking about the heat races. You got to have a good heat race and then transfer that into that main event.
I want to ask you about gate pick because we hear so much discussion about gate pick. Should you take the inside one? Should you take the one that lines up directly with the inside of the first turn? Do you want to take the one next to the doghouse with a little more space? What if you're stuck on the outside? We've seen Ryan Dungey get a great start from the outside a couple of races ago, and you mentioned just this last time Blake Wharton getting a good start from all the way on the outside. How much of it is really mental and letting your gate pick or lack of gate pick bother you?
Well, I mean, I know when I was riding, who you lined up next to. I mean, that was a mental thing, like, oh, man, I don't want to line up next to that guy, and if you pick your gate before that guy and then that guy slides his bike in next to you, then you're you're already thinking about that guy. You're not thinking about getting the start. You're focused in on the guy next to you. You got to focus in on the start. But getting back to the first turn, I mean, it all depends on the track. Like when Ryan Dungey got that hole shot, or not the hole shot, put himself in a good position. He was up in the top 3 or 4, I believe.
I think he came out second or third after 2 or 3 turns, yeah.
The first turn went in and everybody was going right into the end of the turn. There was a whole lot of track where you could leave the throttle on and ride around some of the outside of the guys if you didn't get that good jump. I mean, it all depends on the track, on where you want to line up. A lot of guys like to line up and go straight into the first turn and brake hard, straight up and down, so they can make a little tight corner. Not necessarily the guy that you see that comes away with the $1,500 from Nuclear Cowboys for the hole shot that crosses the white stripe. He might cross it first, but the other guy who hung tight might set him up different for the next turn. It depends on the track, on where you want to line up. Some guys like to line up next to the doghouse so they don't have to worry about a guy to the right of them or to the left of them, depending on which side of the doghouse you're at.
You mentioned that Nuclear Cowboys hole shot, and Nuclear Cowboys will actually be here in Atlanta next weekend, March 2nd and 3rd, 2 nights. That's at Phillips Arena. If you want to buy tickets, go to www.nuclearcowboys.com. That's Cowboys with a Z, an opportunity to see a whole different kind of motorcycle show, FMX, and really a stage presence, pyro and dancing and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's an incredible show, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see one, but I think I might try to take you on our weekend off. I'm not sure. We got to check the nuclearcowboys.com with a Z and check the schedule when they're out on the West Coast, but there might be a chance where I can take you to one because it's an incredible show. I mean, I've been around a lot of racing. I mean, from Supercross to motocross to dirt track to speedway, just to road racing, everything. But I mean, it's pretty neat to see what these guys do.
We'll talk to producer Linda and see if she can hook up some tickets for us. We'll make sure that happens. I want to take you now through the top 5 last week in the 450 class. Ryan Villopoto, defending champion, no longer has that red background, but last week checked out and took the win.
He's got to win races. I mean, if he wants to win the championship, he's going to have to win some races, and most importantly, he's got to finish ahead of Davey Millsaps because that's the guy that's leading the points, and that's the guy you got to beat. So if he doesn't win a race, if he gets second and Millsaps gets third, hey, I gained 2 more points in the championship. That's a key right now. I think his main focus should be trying to win races, and second thing, making sure you're ahead of the number 18 at this point.
And number 18 did come in second, so he lost a couple of points to Ryan Villopoto, but he gained a couple of points on second place because in third was Ryan Dungey.
Put himself in a great position. I mean, if you're leading the championship right now and the guy sitting in third, oh, well, I gave up a couple points to that guy, but the guy who's running in second, I gained 2 points on him. I'm okay. I mean, Davey Millsaps, is riding great this year. Ezra Lusk has been helping out. We talked to Brock Sellers. I didn't know Brock Sellers actually been helping him out a little bit too, he said. So Davey's got a good core of people around him that have been there and done that. The thing for Davey is just to try to manage, his night. If he has a bad start or something, he's just going to have to, stay on the bike and try to get as many positions as possible and not, let everything get haywire and crash again and then go back and then get frustrated and coming back through the pack again after I've already passed these guys. But he's doing everything right. I mean, he's a big guy. He's getting great starts and he's putting himself in good positions, and he just needs to keep that focus up. And the other thing is, you know, he hasn't had a bad race. I mean, all these other guys that we've talked about that have been in this championship fight have had bad races. I'm even going back to Dungey having to come through that last chance race twice. Phoenix and also Anaheim. One with a mechanical and the other one where he got tangled up with a rider, hit the camera. So, I mean, we haven't seen that race from Davey Millsaps. If we do see that race, how is he going to come back and put himself in a good position after a bad incident?
And the question will be, how far down does that bad race take him? If you look at Ryan Dungey, his worst finish is 8th, but he also has a 6th to go with it. Right now, Davey Millsaps, his finish is 1, 4, 4, 2, 2, 1. That is some serious consistency.
It is, and I mean, that's the thing. That's what wins championships. Winning races, he's already won a couple of those, and staying consistent. Like you said, Dungey with that 6-8, you know, those aren't bad finishes, but I got to go back to Villapoto and Anaheim 1 with that 16th. I mean, that could hurt him in the championship, and you're going to look back at that, like, you know, and he's going to, if he loses the championship, whoever wins it, you know, they'll be looking back at that. Well, what could I have done differently at Anaheim or what have you? But the key will be the Davey Millsaps, if he has a bad race, where he finishes after that bad race.
Okay, 4th place last week was the 2-2 Motorsports ride of Chad Reed, and the question with Chad lately has been, what's wrong? And I don't know if Chad has been perpetuating that with some of his frustration, but really, if you look at his results,
he's consistent.
4, 4, 3, 12, there's his one bad race,
right.
And then 5, 5, 4. There's a lot of guys that would kill for that, but that's not up to Chad Reed's standard. That's not where he wants to be.
I mean, you know, I fly a lot like you, back and forth from Los Angeles to each and every. I take those stats and I look at them and I throw out a bad race. I throw out that 16th for Villapoto. I throw out that 12th. And I say, okay, well, give him, you know, say give him 3rd that night or 18th. And then I recalculate all the points, and these guys are right there bunched up. I mean, it's just that, like you said, Davey Millsaps has been consistent and hasn't had a bad race.
Okay, one other guy I wanted to bring up, make sure we talk about, is Trey Kennard. Trey Kennard, he finished in 7th last week, but he's had some good races early on. Did he set expectations too high externally, but also internally with those good finishes and nearly a race win at Anaheim 1?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think maybe he might have lost a little confidence with a couple of those finishes, but I mean, for him to come out at the opener and finish up 2nd, I mean, that was great for him. I mean, coming off of, you know, almost a year off from racing. I think you're going to see Trey Kennard get a little bit faster on the East Coast. He is a champion on the 250 class on the East. He knows the soil. I think he's going to get a little bit more comfortable. I think he's happy coming out of the West with where he was in his finishes and stuff. But the guy who I liked last week that finished up 5th, it was Justin Brayton. I mean, I thought that was a great ride. And Barsha was right there in 6th, and I kind of watched, and he didn't really make up some time, so that meant it gave Justin Brayton some confidence, knowing that, hey, man, I held off a guy who won one of these things.
This field just continues to get deeper. I look down the names. Matt Gerke has had a career year. Andrew Short, will be interesting to see what he does with his new BTO Sports KTM. And then, of course, Eli Tomac steps into this class, could very easily play the role of spoiler, because all of a sudden when we're calculating points and looking at the potential future, he's stealing points out of there, and the differences between positions becomes different.
Well, hopefully he's stealing the points away from the other guys and not the Honda guys. But I mean, you know, you can go down that list and you can look at any. I mean, Mike Alessi, that's another guy that you know, I look for him to try to collect some of those hole shots, you know, and put himself in a good position. He struggled the first couple rounds, 20th position if I'm not mistaken, for both of those finishes for Mike Alessi to start the season out. So, you know, I look for him to start trying to get in there and mixing things up.
Yeah, Alessi has been in the middle of the pack a lot of the time. Oakland, his best race with a 5th place finish.
Yeah, I mean, he knows he's capable. I mean, you know, 5th is great with all these names that we said, but you got to put yourself in that good position up front.
I want to remind you that this show does happen 2 to 5 local time every week. We are available, Supercross Live, 3 hours of live streaming practice, as well as interviews and interesting angles. Kevin and Jim bringing you all the coverage. And Jim, what else is on your mind here for today? What are your perceptions of this track now that we had an opportunity to see it ridden. It's always different to come and see it in the morning when we first get here and we shoot our pre-race report that's available on supercrossonline.com. And then to see it ridden, I think maybe some of our perceptions change a little bit and progress.
Well, I think it's going to be a great track tonight. I kind of like when they come across the starting line, they do the little double in the right-hander. There's an option where you can rail the outside of the berm and do the double before the finish line, or you can tuck it a little tight, try to square it off. If you go up high and rail the outside, it's a nice kind of uphill slope down and just a natural progression into the finish line jump. But I think tonight, a start's going to play a big part of this, because you look at the sand, and there was kind of only one line that everybody was going in through the sand. It's got a short section of whoops, so the guys who like those long gnarly whoop sections, that's not there. That's going to play into it. But everybody on starts, and that's the key. Something interesting that I saw last week in Arlington, I saw Big James actually down there helping James, and they've worked on a lot of starts in Florida, and just repetitive starting, and Big James in Little James's ear, telling him he can do it and this and that, and they're working with trying to me it looks like they might have dropped the front end, and we went over and talked to Mike Webb, the Team Suzuki manager over at Yoshimura, and they said that they dropped the hole shot device to pull it down, because James isn't a big guy. He's a little guy. If you ever meet James, and he's a little guy, and he's up on this big 450, where you look at Davey Millsaps, he's a big guy. Kevin Windham is a big guy. Kyle Chisholm, those guys there, they can sit on the motorcycle and they can get good starts, and you're seeing that with Davey Millsaps. Also, Ryan Villapoto. He's a little guy like Stewart. These guys are up on these big motorcycles here, and they don't have a lot of weight, and if they don't get a good jump, so I think that you're seeing a lot of those guys struggle. Chad Reed, he's perfect size. He's not small, he's not big, but he's right there.
Strong.
He's strong. And Chad will be strong here tonight, I guarantee it. He's won here before, and he likes this stadium. He's had some great battles here in years past with James Stewart, so it's going to be a great night here at the Georgia Dome.
All right, both James Stewart and Chad Reed getting closer to home here in Atlanta, both based out of Florida, and we have seen James Stewart ride well all year long in heat races and in time practice. Can he put it together tonight in the main finally and get himself on the podium, or can he get the win? We will see. Remember, this is just the beginning of your day, the middle of your day, but you have a whole weekend, because the midseason review tomorrow at noon Eastern. Path to Las Vegas will be on CBS and live on Speed in HD tonight. If you're not joining us right now here in the arena or in the party in the pits, this race will be live on Speed at 7:30 Eastern. We still have a whole nother round of practice to go here on Supercross Live. We'll be right back.
The 2012 Monster Energy Supercross season was packed with the most competitive field of riders ever assembled.
Villapoto, Reed, Dungey, Stewart.
Round after round, the top riders staked their claim to be the best in the world.
Ryan Villapoto's done it! He wins back-to-back season openers in Anaheim. Ryan Dungey and KTM have won. 2-2 Motorsports gets their first win of 2012. Chad Reed's a winner!
While also fighting to persevere through the ultimate test in survival.
Oh! Reed goes right over the bars! James Stewart is down! Oh, down goes Villapoto!
With Bar to Bar 2012, you can relive all the incredible Bar to Bar battles.
Villapoto stumbles off the corner! Reed's right there! Dungey charges right back! Oh, Villapoto took a shot and it didn't work! He cuts inside! The crowd goes crazy!
The game-changing crashes and the championship dominance of Ryan Villapoto.
The 2012 Monster Energy AMA Supercross FIM World Championship goes to the Monster Energy Supercross rider, Ryan Villapoto.
Featuring racing recaps from every round.
Here we go, dropping the gate and underway here in Phoenix. Here we go from Dodger Stadium. Dungey, new leader in Atlanta.
and exclusive bonus features, including extended one-on-one rider interviews and East and West Lights highlights. It's Bar to Bar 2012.
Reed really putting on the heat on Stewart now. Can Dungey get KTM their second win? Ryan Villopoto's done it again in 2012.
Available now on supercrossonline.com.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com, coming to you live from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And this segment is brought to you by AMSOIL Arenacross. The inaugural race to the championship continues in Kansas City next week at the Sprint Center, March 2nd and 3rd. For more tickets and more information, go to arenacross.com. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley, and we're continuing to push the bounds of what is technically possible here on our show. And
Who would have
Skype
thought?
has been working out well, and now we're going to be joined by the current points leader in AMSOIL Arenacross, Zach Ames. Zach, you went 5-2 last week in the first race to the championship. Good weekend to be consistent.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. The race for the championship's a little crazy. Going 5-2 and being the overall winner is not something I wanted to do, but you know, I can't complain. The red plate's on the bike this weekend, and just looking for a good night.
Let me ask you this, Zach. Michael Willard ended up winning that first main, and then Willie Browning winning the second one. Your teammate and roommate, Tyler Bowers, finishing up 4-8. How hard is it to go against, I mean, Tyler Bowers, he's a two-time AMSOIL Arenacross champion. How hard is it going up against that guy? You know, he's your roommate. You guys train together. I've seen you at Milestone putting in motos together and laps and everything. But do you have a little insight on him? I mean, can you get this championship?
I think I can get this championship. You know, he's just like anyone else. He's definitely beatable, and I've beat him before. You know, he's definitely going to be the main competition for sure. You know, living together, training together, riding together. You know, it's pretty crazy. You know, a couple weeks ago, we were at the track together doing our motos, and you know, we come together and we both crashed, and you know, it's just crazy. We do everything together, but no, he's fast. He's going to be tough, and I'm ready to see what I got against him.
Yeah, sometimes you have to worry about getting taken out on the track by an opponent, but you have to worry about getting taken out in the hotel room.
Yeah, you do something this weekend, and then I got to live through it all next week, so it's kind of crazy.
Let me ask you this. Once that AMSOIL Arenacross series is over, will we see you in Supercross some rounds out here?
I'd like to. I just want to get through Arenacross right now, finish strong. You know, the whole goal is to do Supercross at the end, but the way the series is, I'd only be able to do the last two East Coast, or the last three coming in Canada, but no, I want to. I ride Supercross every day, Supercross tracks, so I'm feeling confident on Supercross, and you know, we'll see what I can do.
Zach, for fans of Monster Energy Supercross who don't know a ton about AMSOIL Arenacross, what are the differences that riders have as far as skills? What are the things that you're forced to develop even further when it comes to racing Arenacross in particular?
You really have to be good at whoops. You know, Arenacross is mainly whoops or rhythm section, a finish line jump, and then a straightaway, obviously. But no, if you can get through the whoops, then you can yard everybody pretty good. But this weekend we don't have any whoops, so it's kind of, I'm not real happy about it. I know my teammates not real happy about it, but you know, it's whatever. They're trying to make it interesting for the fans, but you know, it's whatever.
Well, they're making it interesting because you and Tyler Bowers are good in the whoops there, so they want to even up and tighten things up out there for you guys. But I thought maybe a start. I didn't hear you mention about a start out there. I mean, the start's got to be really crucial in an Arenacross. I mean, we see it here in Supercross. Some of the guys get bad starts and they don't come through the pack that quick.
Right. You know, the start is crucial here because our lap times are only like 20 to 21 seconds long, and this year we only do 12 lap main events, so it's you kind of need to get a start for sure because you don't have that very much time to come back and pass people. But no, it's going to be interesting, and we have the inversion this year. After the first main, you get to pick a briefcase, and you can invert 0, 8, or 16 riders. So if you pick 16, then the front row, like, it inverts everybody. So you're on the back row for the second main, which I'm not too hip on that, but it's whatever.
Well, they have to keep making changes to keep it interesting there at Arenacross, and it's been good. This week we mentioned that you are in fact in Wichita, and then you're going to move on to Kansas City. We were talking just before we got on air and said, do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and not be sure of where you're at?
Yeah. Actually, this whole time I've been here, I thought I was in Topeka, And, you know, we leave the hotel, and I'm like, man, this isn't where we're racing. And Tyler's like, yeah, dude, we're in Wichita. I'm like, oh, man, this was 2 years ago. But, no, it kind of becomes a blur. But, you know, it's cool. You know, we get to see different parts of the country. And, you know, they didn't really have snow here last week. But on Thursday or something, they got a real big snowstorm. So it's colder than heck here. But it's cool.
You know, a kid from Ohio, how do you like living out west and training out west? I mean, obviously you got to be out there because the season starts early and everything's under snow back here, you know, on the east. How do you like living out west and training out there?
Right, living out west is great. You ride with, you know, Dean. Dean's obviously in Florida right now, but, you know, during the season, his preparation, you know, he's winning Supercrosses, and the next day on Monday you're riding with him. You know what I mean? So it's only going to make me better. And you know, being out there, the city of industry, you know, everybody looks at you, everybody watches you, so they know what you're doing, they know you're training good, and just waiting for a break, and hopefully I can finish out some Supercrosses for someone.
All right, Zach, 5-2 got it done last week. What's going to get it done this week?
I want to go 1-1. You know, I just got to get a start. It's going to be follow the leader here tonight, so we'll see what goes on, and you know, hopefully I'm talking to you guys again.
All right, Zach Ames, points leader in AMSOIL Arenacross. Thanks for joining us here at Monster Energy Supercross. Good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good luck.
All right, good stuff there. AMSOIL Arenacross. No whoops. You take the whoops out?
I don't know. They're tightening it up. They want to have some more close race action. But, I mean, you know, if you got the whoop style just like in Supercross here, you know, if you got a long set of whoops and they're gnarly, I mean, you've seen it. I mean, you could be a bike link behind and you're a bike link ahead once you go through a gnarly set of whoops. But Arenacross is a little bit different because they don't have the speed. You know, it's in a tighter. I mean, we think that the lap times here, you know, dipping into the high 40s or whatever. I mean,
yeah.
They're way lower than this.
Okay, those that did the track walk and are now dismayed to learn they couldn't ride a Supercross track, maybe you could ride an Arenacross track. See if you can get a track walk there, and if they take the whoops out, your chances are increased, but I still think you're not going to do it.
No, you got to be aggressive. I mean, you got to be able to go in there and move some guys because, I mean, it's such a short racing and so tight that, you know, you get behind of a guy and you can't follow him and you're falling, you're getting frustrated. You just go, you know what, I need to go in there and move this guy out of the way. And then now that guy's pissed off. I mean, everybody in that main event, everybody's pissed off at everybody when the gate drops, I'm sure.
All right, second round of practice coming up here shortly on Supercross Live. Remember, you can check us out each week, even if you're not in the stadium. You're getting a chance to watch us now. You will get a chance to watch us online, supercrossonline.com, or you can download the Monster Energy Supercross app. The official app gives you all kinds of information and news about Monster Energy Supercross throughout the week. You can also play the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute trivia, and make sure that if you are thinking about getting into the motorcycling business and perhaps the business of Monster Energy Supercross, you can be the recipient of the $20,000 McGrath scholarship that's being given away. Right now, all you have to do is go to youtube.com/McGrath scholarship, and there you can enter a video to win the scholarship from Jeremy McGrath. He will make the final decision as to who wins that scholarship and an opportunity, perhaps, to have a new career. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with practice as it gets underway from Atlanta.
Want to stay up to date with Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship? Then follow all the action of Supercross on Facebook and Twitter. Get real-time updates and stay current on all the Monster Energy Supercross news. Comment on our Facebook wall and tweet us using hashtag Supercross Live. Watch videos from every city during the 2013 Supercross season on YouTube and share your photos on Instagram with hashtag Supercross Live. All season long, our Supercross fans can connect with riders, ask them questions, and even get info from the riders with exclusive information before all the big races. Be sure to check out Monster Energy Supercross on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else.
Yeah, you can say my racing career has been a pretty sweet ride. I'm totally psyched to be a team owner now, but I'm always going to think of myself as a rider.
Whether I'm out on the track or in the pits, I need a crew I can count on. That's why these guys, my crew, are MMI grads.
At MMI, I got to train on the newest Honda bikes using the latest equipment. It was pretty intense, but it paid off. Now I work with Jeremy.
Honda's the only bike that I ride, but MMI teams up with all the big boys. You work on the top brands and have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Sounds like a pretty awesome advantage to me.
My MMI crew gives me a ton of confidence. They're the best, and it takes the best to win. And yeah, I really like winning. MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy AMA Supercross, and the only training school good enough for my team.
Welcome back into Supercross Live here on supercrossonline.com. This segment brought to you by supercrossonline.com, the official website of Monster Energy Supercross. We all know there are imitation websites out there, but make sure you only purchase your tickets from supercrossonline.com. That's supercrossonline.com to avoid scalpers, upcharges, and price gougers. Here we go, round 2 underway, Jim. Riders tracking through that sand section.
Yeah, look how nice it is. There's not a groove. They're the first guys to put a wheel on it. It's nice out there right now. It's just incredible, the track right now. A couple more laps, let them get worked in a little bit, get some lines in there. It'll even be better, but what a chance to have an opportunity to lay down a good lap time right now for these guys in this 250 Supercross C practice.
Remember, if you're a fan of two-wheel racing, not only do we have Monster Energy Supercross happening right now here in Atlanta, and next week we will be in St. Louis at the Edward Jones Dome, but we also have Nuclear Cowboys. They're going to be here in Atlanta next weekend, so March 2nd and 3rd. That's at Phillips Arena. Go to nuclearcowboys.com to learn more and purchase tickets. In addition to Amsoil Arenacross, you just heard from the points leader, Zach Ames. He has 32 points in the chase to the championship, the race to the championship. They will be in Wichita next week. So if you're in the middle of the country and you want to see some hot racing action, make sure you get out and check out Amsoil Arenacross.
Yeah, you mentioned the points. Jeff Gibson, another Ohio rider there in second in the points, and then the two-time champion Bowers in that third spot right now. But, something interesting, you mentioned the Nuclear Cowboys will be here next week in the Phillips Arena. A buddy of yours used to play there, Charles Barkley. You had an opportunity to meet Charles Barkley last night at dinner.
Yeah, I ran into Charles Barkley last night. Very affable guy. I invited him to come out to the race. I said, Charles, you coming to the race tomorrow night? He said, no, man, I'm going back home. I come out here every Thursday to do TV, and I stay an extra day for a charity event. But I told him he ought to come out and check out this racing. We've had other celebrities out here, other crossover sports. I'm a crossover sport guy myself, coming from the world of volleyball and loving the two-wheel racing.
Yeah, I ran in one year when we were in New Orleans years back. I ran into Peyton Manning. He was coming back to stay at his mom and dad's house and visit, and I asked him, hey, Peyton, he had other opportunities, but I'm not afraid to go out and meet those guys and say hi and promote our sport of Supercross,
You were in my ear, Jim. You were in my ear. And my wife was telling me it's time to go. I'm like, no. If I say I saw Charles Barkley and I didn't talk to him, Jim's going to be all over me.
Yeah, you got it. Those guys are approachable.
He was great. Charles was a lot of fun, and he was there kind of holding court in the bar there at the restaurant here in Atlanta. So 250 Group C qualifying underway. Reif, Bitterman, Ransel, Weishart, Johnson, Peters, Beatty, Mason, Soley, and Vollinger.
Yeah, you mentioned Reif. He actually had a good time last time, a 55.6 right now for the fastest. We'll see if some of the other guys can come up. You mentioned 961 Beatty. That's Dave Beatty's son. I believe I used to race with Dave up in Canada. So good to see him out here. I know he made his Supercross debut last weekend in Arlington and just missed it by a little bit.
I want to make sure to correct this, Jim. I have it backwards on my sheet here. Wichita, Kansas is this weekend for Arenacross.
Right.
Amsoil Arenacross. It will happen next weekend in Kansas City. So no confusion there. Sorry. It's all happening in Kansas.
So stay in Kansas.
And Missouri. All right, Wichita this weekend, Kansas City next weekend.
I wonder if those guys are going to fly back. I think I'd stay in Kansas. Try to practice around there somewhere, maybe get a practice track depending on the weather. But
weather in Kansas not so nice in February and early March. Coming from the Midwest myself.
Trying to see who that is. 8:14, I believe. I'm just trying to. But I don't have my glasses on.
8:48, I believe. Kendall Mason.
Okay.
He's out of Pike Road, Alabama, so not far away on the Talladega Cycles Roost MX Kawasaki.
It's got those green wheels on there. I don't know if those are green rims or green spokes.
It looks like green spokes with black rims. Kind of like that look. Mason currently sitting in 8th in this session with a 101 flat as his best time. Best in this session so far is Sean Reif on the 81. He's on a Honda 55.6. And then Bitterman, the 581 of Kyle Bitterman out of Belton, South Carolina on the Tough Racing Honda.
It looked like that was 961 there. BD down there putting in some good laps.
Ransdell in the 3rd on the 465 Honda.
There's Reif, just going to pull it in and go into his mechanic and maybe make an adjustment, see if he can get that time down a little bit even more.
Top 5 are under a minute. 55, the best of those times from Reif. Then Bitterman with a 58. So Reif significantly faster than the rest of the field in this session. Ransdell with a 58 as well. Then Peters with a 59. That's the 5:35 ride of Joey Peters. And then Weishar on the 619. Mark Weishar out of Belleville, Illinois. Thataway, Illinois.
There's Johnson, 277 out there. A lot of these guys just kind of cruising around and coming to a close. They got about 1 minute and 45 seconds left in this practice, but they got to get it in there. I don't think the guys doing a minute lap time that'll get them into the program.
Just about time for one more hot lap here. Unless you're halfway through already, you might be able to put in 2. Last opportunity to make the night show. 278 Parker Anthony, another Georgia rider on a Kawasaki there with some black plastics.
See that section right there? He didn't downside that step on, step off, and I think the faster guys are carrying their momentum around that corner a little bit more and just committing. I mean, that's the thing. You got to commit in those rhythm sections to do it.
It doesn't look like the intensity is quite there yet. 101, the best time for the 278 of Parker Anthony. Doesn't look like he's linking his sections together as well as some of the other riders, Jim.
Yeah, he's looking good. Where's he out of again?
He's out of Georgia, Americus, Georgia.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if he was in Arlington. This might be his first Supercross. A lot of privateer guys. Takes a lot of money to go to Texas to come back, and this might be his first look at a Supercross this year, on the tour. So that's why maybe feeling a little bit. But he looked good out there. I mean, you got to remember that these guys here, I mean, they got their own practice courses, but it's one thing to have a practice course out in the sticks and everything, and you can run it at your own. But when you step into this dome here, and even though it's not packed yet, which it will be tonight, it's a whole different scenario out on that track.
Yeah, sometimes this is just a stepping stone for these riders to come out and run some good laps. 8:48 again, Kendall Mason, pardon me, out of Pike Road, Alabama. Important stepping stones here. Number 1, just to get licensed, to get an opportunity to enter an event. Number 2, to come out and ride practice and ride the tracks and get a feel for what a true Monster Energy Supercross track looks like. Then an opportunity to make the night program. Start thinking about making the night program. And once you make the night program, start thinking about trying to get into that main before you start thinking about top 10, top 5, and podium. Those seem to be kind of the gradient if you were to break it down to goals within your career if you're a young up-and-coming rider.
Yeah, it's a ladder. I mean, you can't say I'm going to come into because you'll have so much disappointment if you say I'm going to get into the top 10 and then, you don't even get into the night program. You weren't one of the 40 fastest. So you got to put everything into kind of perspective and just, goals that you can achieve.
Sean Wright fastest there, 55.6. And Charles Lefebvre is asking us, I believe via live stream, he wanted to know if you think Tomac has a shot tonight in the 450 class.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to remember that, last year here, Cole Seeley came here and the whole side of the main event and led it for 10 laps. So, I mean, anything is possible. I mean, if he gets a good start and he runs his own race out there, absolutely, Eli Tomac could win his first in the 450 class here tonight in Atlanta.
Eli Tomac had the fast lap in the 450 practice number 1 for a while, right down to the last couple of minutes when it was taken away. But
and he's
right
prepared.
there.
And he's prepared. That's why he missed Dallas last week. He wanted to get some more time on the bike, some more testing, and it showed here today in his lap times. And, anything can happen. He could get that whole shot and just walk away. Some other guys could get collected up in the first turn if they have a pile up in the first turn. So, yeah, absolutely, Eli Tomac could win this one tonight.
And Eli Tomac is not new to a 450. He rides a 450 at home in Colorado because of the lack of horsepower with the altitude at his home track there in Cortez. He spends a lot of time on a 450 because it's more similar to his race 250. He also spent a lot of time on the 450 just thinking that he was going to be moving up to the 450 class, then had to get readjusted back down to that 250, much the way Dean Wilson did.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that the fact that everyone's forgetting about the Monster Energy Cup on how he performed there. He had a great ride at the Monster Energy Cup. But Eli definitely, he'll be one of those guys that can transition real nicely into that 450 class, and we'll see tonight.
Well, I think if we're looking for more information on whether Eli Tomac is really prepared to ride in this Supercross event tonight, I think we could find a source, Jim, a guy we could talk to that might have access to Tomac or might know somebody on Tomac's team. Is there a guy like that you can think of that we could speak to?
Yeah, he comes on the show once in a while and pops in here.
He's got a good first name. But I don't hear it all the time. I hear K-Dub most of the time when referring to this guy. Welcome back.
Hey, good to be here.
So the question just came in, does Eli Tomac have a shot tonight? We both think so.
Well, absolutely. Without a doubt, he has a shot, and good point. Good time for me to kind of toot my own horn and saying the one of 3 riders to ever do it. That would be kind of nice for him. Me being the first, of course, I'll bring that up first and foremost, but also John Dowd, who's in the house tonight.
Oh, John's in town?
Good to see John Dowd here. He's number 2, and I think Eli's got a great shot. I mean, he comes into this race with as little pressure as you could possibly have, and, obviously he's had a tough go at what we thought, not feeling expectations for his West defense of his title, so I think tonight could be really good for him.
It's something interesting when he said the first word out of Kevin's mouth and my mouth, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Eli Tomac can win here tonight.
All right, we've been through the Kevin and Jim part of the show. Now it's the Kevin and Jim part of the show here you come to enjoy in the afternoons. We're going to have picks for you, as well as we need to get the lowdown. Everybody wants to know about your future career, so let's just get it over with right now. Are you going to continue doing these kinds of things and think about a future in TV, or you want to go home and hang out?
No, I absolutely love what I'm doing right now. I mean, being here and talking about racing is, as Jim knows, I mean, it's as close as we can get. And at this point in my career where I felt like I had to step away, I mean, it's a tough decision and one that's not really something you want to do, but you comes a time you have to. And
absolutely.
I mean, obviously, just because you're a successful professional motorcycle racer doesn't mean that you can do this very well. But I enjoy it, and hopefully the fans enjoy having me talk about racing. And I'm enjoying it right now, so hopefully we can continue this process.
Well, we love having you up here and breaking down the track for us. Give us some insight as we watch the number 71 of Zachary Freeberg go around this track, and there he hits the finish line jump. What do you think about some of the elements that are here tonight?
Well, so far it looks like some of the track is working a couple of lines. I know it always is ultimately winds up into one way to do it fastest. I've seen some guys make some mistakes. I've seen some yellow flags tonight, and you can never underestimate the Georgia clay. It's tracks like this can be difficult because they can be so full of traction, but then one corner or half of a corner away gets these shiny spots that you can see from up above, but it's harder to tell where those spots are going to be when you're on the bike. So, I think in California when you're on tracks on the West Coast, you just know there's not going to be traction. You have to ride the track accordingly. But here, your bike can be just tracking along a corner so well and then all of a sudden break loose at a moment's notice.
I think it's the 77 of Jeremy Martin out there actually on Yamaha.
Jeremy Martin, there you go. Talk about traction breaking loose. Kevin, we've talked about it before. you have tires that are set up for the track, but they don't necessarily work in the sand, and that's what can hurt you right there. This guy's struggling to pick the bike up.
Now
look at his throttle's all stuck with sand in it.
Yeah, that's always the worst. And I tell you, Dallas's sand section was a play box. I mean, that was just too much fun for those guys. It really didn't do anything to them. Tonight's is going to be treacherous. That sand is deep, and it's a truly foreign soil to the rest of the race course.
Ozzie Barbary, sorry to call your name, Ozzie, when you're going down, but you got a little TV time here on Supercross Live, Whitehall, Arkansas. And Kevin, where else can you ride this kind of soil? I mean, I know my father was here in Atlanta for a long time, and in northern Georgia, it's still there. But as we creep on closer to your house, does it end at some point? Do you have to come all the way here to ride this kind of dirt?
Well, I think here there's some great training facilities here in south of Georgia. I know MTF and some of the others that are around there. There's plenty of places to ride where you're going to get this Georgia clay, and this is a hot spot. You got the west side, the west coast. A lot of guys are out there burning in laps, but the amateurs have made a real presence in this area. A lot of guys who can't ride in the north all year round come down to try to equal and level the playing field for the guys who have to deal with the snow. So it's become a real hotbed to motocross and supercross.
Jeremy Martin keeping things together there through the whoops as he tries to rip off another fast lap. His brother Alex actually in the house tonight, although not racing yet, recovering from a left wrist injury sustained 2 months ago. But Jeremy Martin is fastest at 54.1. And looking for more here as he crosses the triple. We'll be headed on into the right-hand turn across the start straight. One more turn and then a slope to the left on into the finish. It's Martin, Cantanzaro, Powell, Hussey, Herline, and Clark.
And now a 53.4 for Martin, so that was a fast lap. You can kind of see him getting around the racetrack. Now he's going to maybe just kind of take it easy, but he looks like he's still on a fast lap. I know he wasn't happy, not getting that bike in the main event. Bad starts for him. He said he worked a lot on starts this week to try to get that bike in a good position. He's raced against all those amateur kids coming up from the ranks. I'm talking about the Bells and the Hills, and he was just mad at himself that number 77 wasn't in the main event.
Well, he finds himself in the B practice, but he finds himself 2.5 seconds faster than anyone else in the B practice thus far, with a little over 4 minutes remaining here in practice number 2 for the 250B class.
I tell you, it can make a big difference being in the A to B practice, because riding with the riders who are going to be at the top over the night makes a big difference in just carrying that momentum and seeing techniques that they're using. And Martin may be on a heater, he may be on a really good lap. He has a better chance of getting hung up in this practice, but I know, like Jim was saying, he didn't have the weekend that he wanted last weekend. One good race here can get him in that A practice, and that means a lot.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Kevin, you're out here. What are you going to learn from these guys? You're obviously 2 seconds faster than everybody else out there, and it's that old cliche of you got to ride with faster people to get faster. And if you're in that A group, you can see exactly, wow, man, that guy ran into that corner really hard. I guess I got to try to work on my corner speed now. But
and in the A practices, it's so crazy how you can run the fastest lap on the opening lap. Like, there's no way you can run a better lap than that right there. I mean, you go over the finish line, and it may hold for a couple of laps, but normally 9 times out of 10, if that first lap or first full lap provides the quickest time, it doesn't take long for somebody to knock it down. And like you say, it's just ways of finding just that little bit of momentum, because we all know in Supercross nowadays they're jockeying for at best tenths of seconds.
Right, and you see a lot of these guys even from the C to the B, like right here. Let's see if he jumps. See, he landed on the step on, step off, but the faster guys are landing on the downside of that, and they're just committing to that. You got to commit in some of those timing sections. Look at that, he's getting aggressive. Martin's getting aggressive coming around that sand over there, and he's trying different things.
6:55 of John Pauk there out of Houston, Texas on the HRT Moto Thumb Honda.
Boy,
Martin is putting in some fast laps. He's not thinking about being fastest in the B practice. He's thinking about being fastest overall.
He's riding with some real aggression right now, and that's good to see. Even when you're on top of the leaderboard, he knows what he wants to do tonight, and it's not play around in this practice.
So 53.4 the mark so far for Martin.
Yeah, 53.4. That last lap of 55.6 probably ran into a couple lappers there. But Kevin, it's interesting when you go across the start line, you got that double. A lot of the guys are taking that far outside. They're not hitting that jump, and I thought maybe that might have been the fastest way around the track.
You know, I think so, Jim, right now. But the impressive thing that I noticed, got this section kind of choked down. Somebody already down. You know, I noticed at some of the previous rounds that the line that is just the give-in, the real race line for practice,
is not the race line in the main.
Has not been lasting all night. So it's so hard for these riders to know when. Like, when do you jump to the new line? I mean, and that's where a mechanic can come into a lot of help, a lot of play. You got your team manager wherever he's watching from, normally the tower in the middle of the track. And these guys are working stoplights and videos. And, I mean, all day, every time a guy's out on the track, you have to be studying. This thing's ever evolving.
Yellow flags are out, 1 minute and 23 seconds remaining, but one section is still completely shut down as they take a look at Zach Freeberg, who crashed on his number 71 Honda. He's still sitting on the tough blocks as the riders come back through the rhythm section after the sand. So tough to run a fast lap when one entire lane is shut down.
Here he comes into the section now. Look, still got the Red Cross flag. The Red Cross, when it's out, wheels
Powell.
on the ground every time. So looks like he's up, though. This is good that he's going to walk away from it.
Always good to see riders get up when they do hit the deck.
Catanzaro there. See, now he
almost
tried.
Over,
he almost tried that. He's testing it right now.
Catanzaro on a Pilgrim Power Sports KX 250 out of Portland, Connecticut.
It's 5:31 there. Let's see who that is.
15 seconds to go in this practice. No one even close to Jeremy Martin on that 77. 53.4 for Jeremy Martin in the MyPlash Metal Militia Yamaha.
You can bet Martin when he receives a checkered flag here at this practice, he's not going to the truck. He's gonna be tuned into what's going on in this A practice.
Yeah, he's heading up into the rider's seating area, and he's going to study and watch these next guys. Right. And the only thing he's going to be mad at himself if he sees someone do a different section and go, man, I was thinking about trying that.
And that happens, you know. And you, like I said, you never know how the track's going to change or deteriorate or whatever. But heel clicker, man, he's trying to steal my heart right now.
Who was that? Keg.
531, yeah.
Yeah, Todd Craig.
You want to get some love from KW, you talk about a heel clicker, man.
No, he didn't do it over the finish line. What about the transition tonight? You got something big tonight? Or
nah, you know, the
track doesn't lend it?
You know, I told the track builders that they should really think more about me when designing a track. You know, they're making it difficult on me to do these transfers. But
I think you should just put out a special section of the track just for you, an extra little bit of dirt.
Of course. Yeah. That's what I think.
I mean, you're Kevin Windham.
They don't care. They're not worried about
Bummer to find that out, isn't it? When you retire, like you said, you were working longer hours for less money now, right?
That's what all retired guys do, right? That's what I heard. No, they're good tonight, but they're not the 105s of Phoenix or Dallas 2 years ago.
Those are far jumps.
All right, welcome back into Supercross
and
Live
no doubt,
supercrossonline.com.
The lights are down too.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing.
Well,
I mean, everybody forgets about the transition and I'm going 110, 105 feet. It's the lights that are down.
Yeah, but sometimes not seeing is the beauty of the whole thing. If I see it, it scares me and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it if I can see it.
I always thought you enjoyed the time change when you spring forward and all of a sudden it's light. I think it occurred in Indianapolis last year when, it's not totally black now.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't see what you want to be seeing when the lights come on, you know?
Very good. Well, 250A class practice. I hear the bikes warming up behind us. They're going to be getting underway here in just a second. Blake Wharton coming out at 13, Rockstar Energy Racing.
Don't forget, we got to go over our picks, too, after the A guys.
And don't forget that MMI is still offering that McGrath scholarship. Motorcycle Mechanics Institute wants you to enter today and get the possibility of a new career for yourself. Go to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship right now. Enter a video. Sing a song, read a poem, I don't know, do anything to get some attention, get whittled down to the top 10, and then Jeremy McGrath himself will select the winner of the MMI scholarship.
Yeah, don't forget also to download your Supercross app because you could be watching us live right now.
I love when you're on the cutting edge of technology, Jim. Monster Energy Supercross app available in the Google Play and Apple Apps Store now. Go ahead and search Monster Energy Supercross. You will find it. It is free, and it will provide you with a week-long connection to this program and Monster Energy Supercross. News, notes, push notifications, rider interviews, this streamed live, anything you want to do with Monster Energy Supercross.
Yeah, my kids have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, I don't have an iPhone.
Wow.
Kevin's laughing at me.
Let's get with the times.
Yeah, I'm still back in the Stone Age.
If you do, get a white one. That's
white
what we
one?
have.
Really?
Yeah. Kevin's have white ones. Some
Really?
people don't like
You
that.
got a white one?
I do, yeah.
Really?
Which means
I was
going
gonna
to
get a
black.
pink one.
You have to go black.
I'm going pink. If I get an iPhone, I'm going pink.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's going to take a little extra accessories. You're going to have to learn about covers and how to bling them up and that kind
They
of
don't
thing.
come pink, so you'll have to put a cover.
Yeah.
Oh,
or you have to
man.
buy extra glass. And I don't know you want to open up your iPhone.
See, I know there was a reason why I didn't have an iPhone.
We're having a good time. We hope you are too. Each and every Saturday when we're here on this
They shut them
show.
down for some reason. They're doing something on the track. Maybe we should go to our picks.
You know what?
Or maybe
you want to go to the picks already, or you want to review last week?
I want to show you the photo.
Oh, wait, we have a photo.
I want to show you the photo.
We do not review last week's picks.
Yeah,
well, yeah, because the host
got 'em.
picked the 450s like straight away. I got the whole podium, so we're gonna.
But I picked the winners. But I did bring this photo because you said now that you're retired and everybody in the signing autographs, they bring you these pictures. Say, I remember when. Well, I remember when we were in Osaka, Japan.
Yeah,
And I was working with Takeshi Koikeda, and I believe you were number 8 back then. Were you 16 or 17 maybe?
16 or
something like
17,
that.
yeah. Way
But
too
take
young
a look at this, people. Kevin Windham right there. Kevin Windham,
That's good
Takeshi
stuff.
Koikeda, Jeremy McGrath, and my son James, who's 21 now.
That's really
on top
good.
of. But anyhow, that's for you.
Do I need
Throwing
to?
your
I already
garage.
signed that.
Yeah, you signed it already. That's for you. You signed it back a long time ago. You and Jeremy signed it. Randy Lawrence is in there. He was working with McGrath at the time, and then little Takeshi Koikeda. But
hey, you know
I
what's
just wonder
amazing?
how come Takeshi doesn't have that blue cap on there. If you can see that.
You know what's awesome is that we were asking where we were going to hang out, and Jim's all like, hey, I've been to Japan 1,000,000 times. I got a great spot, a real hot spot for you guys. Come on and hang out with me. That's where we ended up.
The pool.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, one time I was in Japan, and Keith Bone, I took him. He said we got on the train, and he was so scared that we were going to get lost. And I said, Keith, I know some girls that are over here that are dancing over here. Let's go over to this hotel. And it was about a 2-hour ride, and we didn't get lost, but we had a good time.
I don't remember that part.
No, you were after Keith Bowen.
Boy, Dean had a great opening round. Rode with some real confidence last weekend, and know he's going to want to back that up this weekend.
But he had a practice crash earlier in the week. He had a crash here in that free practice, lost the front end, but he looked good after that. Maybe sometimes that'll wake you up as a rider. You know, Kevin, you've been kind of riding around. You think, oh, well, you know, I won this one. I'm going to win this one. And then all of a sudden your bike, hey, I better focus on what's going on.
It can do both. It can focus you, or it can take a little wind out of the sails. And, you know, when things like that start to happen in the day, it's time to grab a hold of it. You know, I know this is the first lap out here, but every time you're out here in Supercross nowadays, as you can see how treacherous that sand section is, you really have to think about you're making a statement because everybody's analyzing. We are, and the fans are, and other teams, and there's so much video going on. Did you see that sand kick out the bottom of that bike? Boy, he carried it all the way around with him.
Getting an opportunity to see not only our cameras here, but also one of the speed cameras that's running during practice. As everyone prepares for the night show, it's not just the riders, but also the television crew that has to get ready as you get a look at Will Hahn.
You know, and I thought Will Hahn rode great last week. You know, he had a little problem in that heat race. He was up there battling for the lead, fell down, but got back up, didn't get a good gate pick, had a bad start, but he worked up and finished third, and I thought that was a good start to his season.
You know it was, and obviously I think that he would rather had had a little bit better result and even a better third place finish. Than, you know, there's different levels of third. But I watched that thing last year with him where he just never gave himself a chance and was hurt right off the bat. So I was proud of him. I had a good talk with him and the Geico Honda truck after the night and said, yeah, look, you know, I said, let's build from this. And I mean, just trying to put my 2 cents in. Obviously, he's got a good program built around him, the whole team. But say, hey, let's build on this because you've given yourself a chance. It's a long series.
Did you have a good talk with Zach Bell?
Actually, I didn't see Zach. And man, there was so much controversy about Zach and his crash and the fact that he wasn't moving and continued to race and stuff. And I got to go on defense of Dr. Bodner, who I've looked at in the eyes with a concussion. And that man said, you're not going back out. And he said that he didn't move after that crash because he was concerned about his back, which the last time he crashed that hard, he had got suffered a broken back. Another red cross flag, as that takes a hot lap away from Will Hahn. But when he rode off on the back of the Asterix medical cart,
he looked fine.
He looked fine, man. I mean, his eyes were clear, and
he was talking, and
he really did good, which is surprising. I just got to contribute that to.
Well, and that's very smart of Zach. I mean, like you said, with the back injury that he sustained at Unadilla, and as soon as he hit the ground, he didn't move. He didn't want to take a chance on anything, and doing more damage until the Dr. Bogner got over there and the Asterix guys and assessed him.
The 87 of Lance Vincent is the rider who's down and necessitating the yellow flag. Lance Vincent on that Mun Racing KTM. Get a look at number 13. Blake Wharton.
But I mean, I got a chance to see the speed broadcast and the emotion that Zach Bell brought to just be happy to be competing in the LCQ, and then had problems in that main event. But I mean, you got to remember that this kid's a little kid. He's 16 years old.
Yep.
He was just. He had a big high, he was leading the heat race, and then he had a big low with the crash, and now he gets another high, an opportunity to go back in that last chance race and try to get a spot in that main event.
Well, and he has to be so frustrated because he's had crashes, and when we talked to him before the race, he said, look, my goal is just to come out, run some solid laps, and keep it on 2 wheels. And there has to be a certain level of disappointment for him in himself in again, ending up on the ground.
Well, clearly for him, you have to find that groove, or you have a very short career in Supercross. I mean, he's got the talent, and obviously, and he's a smart kid. I think he's got incredible talent, but Supercross is a different beast, and we've said it time and time again that you can be a great Supercross rider and really not that good at motocross, or vice versa, or any other form of racing for that matter. But the reality of it is that he needs to get this thing figured out of keeping that bike on 2 wheels, or his career will be cut short.
I guess that's what makes the great riders so great, is their ability to not only ride Supercross but also motocross with effectiveness. As we update you on the times, Dean Wilson with a 53 flat has moved ahead of Marvin Muskin with a 53.1, Will Hahn at a 54.1, Gavin Faith at a 54.6, and then Blake Wharton at a 54.7. So if you're wondering where Jeremy Martin fits in that group, the fastest qualifier in 250B, he had a 53.4. So that would actually put Martin as the number 3 qualifier overall at the moment.
And if I'm not mistaken, Arlington last week, he was 3rd fastest qualifier also.
So another rookie with simply incredible speed. It's worth noting in our discussion of Zach Bell, he was well in the lead and had completely checked out of that heat race. When he crashed, he was definitely going to win that race.
Yeah, he was. Do you guys go back and look at the video and what happened on that? I mean, he got into there and he grabbed a handful. It looked like the rear wheel broke loose, kind of got his feet off the pegs, and then on the approach to that jump, when the suspension compressed in and the rebound, he just flicked them off.
Yeah, it's amazing at the amount of momentum that you carry in Supercross, and it was real similar in ways to my crash at Houston, where I had, wow, look at that, launch that thing to flat ground. That looked good for Marvin there.
Yeah, but will it look good for 15 laps?
No, but man, there's so much in putting down a glory lap.
Right, yeah, that's what he's doing.
But you when you dab that foot on that ground like he did, which is similar to what I did,
just flings your foot.
I mean, that ground's not moving, obviously, and you come in with such a G-load that, man, it just stops that momentum. Was it enough? Where'd he go?
Still in second, 53.154 for Marvin Muskin, but it looked good.
It looked real good, and I mean, we're splitting hairs at this point. I mean, what was it, a little over 1/10 of a second. So, come race time, who knows what could happen. It's interesting that it appeared that the 15 of Wilson was just on the heater himself.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Turned to 53.2. So, did something change about the track? Is the thing wearing down? I actually was down the track earlier, and I saw where the Dirtworks guys are having a tough time keeping this track off the plywood in areas, so that's going to be a tricky part of the night.
Or down, it looked like to me after you come over the finish line, jump that left hand, they were down to the concrete at that point.
And in this right-hander right here, everybody's going inside right here where we see the 46 coming through here.
Right.
That 45, excuse me. But anyway, there's several turns where you're going to have to make that decision of when do I move, where do I get out, and I think you could actually see plywood in that corner just there.
Yeah, 45. That was Gwyneth Swanepoel. But getting back to the momentum, Kevin, what you were talking about, it reminded me a lot of you talk about dabbing your foot. I mean, that's why dirt track riders have a steel shoe, because when they throw it into turn 1 or 2 and they put down that foot, they got to have a piece of steel so their foot slides across the dirt. I mean, they can't stick their foot out or it'll be back around their head.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, your crash, had you been able to find the foot peg, do you think you would have gone down on that one?
Yeah, I think I wasn't really trying to find the foot peg. My body was starting a motion that I didn't care for. I had already felt myself kind of rebound up and over, and I was kind of going into a full-on like Superman or like a bar stand or something like these freestyle guys would be doing. Never really done one of those before, so I figured that it would be best for me to go ahead and try to find a way to get out. And I was hooking underneath the bars to kind of try to stop my body's momentum from going over the bars. So.
But a lot of people don't realize how much you use. There's Marvin Muskin with a 52.6, so he found a fast way around the track. He's leading it right now with the fastest time.
Good for him. I mean, such a sad way to start out the first round here. Whoa, hang on to that thing there, Marvin. But it was tough to lay down in that first turn, man. I know that obviously everyone knows that the light series is roughly half of the big bike series. And, when you have a race, especially the opener, where you find yourself laying on the ground, it makes for a frustrating night. There's so much preparation. These guys have had 6 or 7 weeks additional prep time in getting ready for this thing versus the West Coast riders. And you go into the first round and find yourself giving it all away on the first turn.
I want to run down the times for you. Marvin Muskin, you heard it mentioned, 52.69. Fastest lap thus far. Dean Wilson, second with a 52.9. Then it's Will Hahn, Blake Wharton. So the top 4, as we expected, followed by Vince Fries, Gavin Faith, Kyle Peters, Zach Bell. Then it's Hill, Dakotas Thompson, Oldenburg, Richardson, Vincent, Swanepoel, Kilbarger, Ripple, Wentland, and Gully and Zimmer.
Yeah, you mentioned Marvin Muskin, though, like you said, to start the season out with a 6th. That's not where he wanted to be, that's for sure.
It's recoverable.
That was a good 6, though. I fought back from last.
It was a great 6, definitely recoverable. But, the thoughts that go through your mind when you're picking up that bike, in the first turn is tough. But
well, and like you said, with that 6th, he only puts himself 10 points behind Dean Wilson, which it is a lot in a short series, but you can make it up.
He did all he could, but I mean, I could think of no one less, effective at making a 10-point gap even larger than Dean. Obviously you don't want to start any behind him. I mean, he's got a lot of experience and, the elder statesman of the class at this point.
Practice coming to a close for the 250A group, and in fact, Zach Bell picking his bike up once again, this time from the sand section, as practice was coming to an end. We've seen the sand section bite guys a couple of times.
Look at the rookies there, neck for neck. Look, 8th and 9th, 2/10 separating them.
Yeah, no, they're definitely. But the other rookie that was in that other one had a little bit faster time in Jeremy Martin, and
where. So
I don't have the decimal points on Jeremy Martin, but it would put him somewhere around 5th. Either he or Vince Fries will have the faster time, both with a 53. Oh, it's a 53.4. Pardon me. So he is in 4th place, as a matter of fact.
He was faster than Wharton.
Above Blake Wharton, correct. A 54.4 for Fries. So Marvin Muskin is your top qualifier, 52.6, followed by Dean Wilson with a 52.9. Then Hahn, and then stick in there Jeremy Martin. Then you'll have Blake Wharton, Vince Fries, Gavin Faith, Kyle Peters, Zach Bell, I keep wanting to say Josh Hill, Justin Hill, and Jimmy Dakotas.
Good ride for Jimmy Dakotas there last week also. I believe he was in that top 10.
Good.
Yeah, he rode really well.
Yeah,
that guy's got a lot of talent.
He does.
He really does. I've had some time riding with him when he was on the Geico Honda team, and just watching him ride. I mean, he's crazy. He'll jump anything. If there's an option that's available on this track, he'll go for it. So.
Jimmy Dakotas 8th last week as the 450A guys come out. We want you to follow us on Twitter at Supercross Live. Get all kinds of live race tweets as well as updates on this show and our programming during the day. You can also hashtag Supercross Live to ask us a question, ask Kevin Windham a question, ask Jim Holley a question. All your answers to your moto questions are here.
I wonder why they're shutting them down. They did that before, and I saw PJ Larson kind of walk over to a section of the track and see if they were doing something different. Huh.
Yeah, some little breaks involved, but a lot of personnel out on the track checking it out, giving a look to the different corners and perhaps the condition, perhaps those plywood parts that you guys had mentioned where the track is wearing down just a little bit. Kevin Barnett, along with Jim Holley and Kevin Windham here in studio, bringing you 3 hours live. We've been having a great time doing this, Jim. This is a whole new way for fans to follow the sport, for fans to follow the series and understand why the night program looks like it does. And remember, you're going to get to watch the night program, 7:30 Eastern. This will be live on Speed in HD, and then tomorrow on CBS, because we like to give you a whole weekend worth of racing. Tomorrow on CBS, it will be Path to Las Vegas, the midseason review. So a look at the first 8 races of the Monster Energy Supercross season.
Kevin likes Vegas. He's not riding, but he likes to gamble. This guy's a gambler.
You might have even a better time in Vegas.
I love Vegas. Yeah, now I can spend a little extra time at the tables, maybe.
Well, you spend a lot of time at the tables.
I do.
I think one of the funniest moments I saw was from the post-race banquet a couple of years ago when you said your team had done a great job with your bike all year long, setting it up so it could jump the triples, blitz the whoops, but it couldn't blitz Yamahas.
Yeah, that was a tough. That was a tough
that
night.
Was a tough one.
Felt like I was in a great position.
Oh, you were.
And you know, the sport's so tough. I mean, 19 years, 18 wins. And there was just those couple that got away, and I think that was potentially one that could have gotten away. I mean, we were approaching the midway point of the finale in Vegas, where I think probably everybody will remember where James and I got together in the whoops there. But obviously, a lot of racing left. But I felt like I had a great shot at it that night. So it was one that got away. So you got to get frustrated at those after only winning 18. You know, you can remember the ones that you missed out on. You know, and I think. Obviously, speaking of James, he had one of those last weekend where they had to back him off the line. I mean, he had a great night, and it was going well, and all for naught.
Well, it generated a good line and perhaps a start to your stand-up comedy career.
Yeah, I'm probably going to stick with table games. And
I don't know, you sang the next year, so that...
Yeah, I'll never live that one down.
Very good, 450A practice underway here in the Monster Energy Cup Championship, round 8.
Barsha getting after it. Yeah, he wants to be the first out there.
A lot of guys have a lot on the line here tonight. This is a lot of riders' home track. I mean, obviously, we got the Davey Millsaps, he actually had his first race here. We're looking at Barsha, who's obviously a Georgia guy, or at least nearby here in Florida. I think he's kind of transferring back and forth between Cairo and Tallahassee or whatever.
Well, his house in Georgia actually for sale if you want to buy it.
I'm actually done buying houses, I think. I'm retired. I don't know if we've been over that yet.
Well, the thing about it for Barsha is he's a 2-time 250 East Coast champion, so he knows this dirt. He knows how to win here. He won here last year in the 250 class, so we'll see what he can do.
There's a good look at Andrew Short on that DTO Sports KTM. What do you think about that change? Good for him?
Well, I mean, right now where he was at, absolutely. I mean, this guy's such a great racer and I think ambassador of the sport. I mean, he's got a good smile. He's caught some slack in the past about riding guys a little bit dirty, but I actually don't think he's dirty at all. I think he just is passionate and a great. He's going to fight.
Right.
I have no issue with him at all, and I think it's great for him to be able to have this opportunity. He's a hard worker. Anybody that hires Andrew to come and race for them, they're gonna get the best that he's got to offer week in and week out. And he's a really solid individual.
You're getting a professional racer when you hire Andrew.
Without a doubt.
James Stewart, of course, felt so good last week on that Yoshimura Suzuki. And then the clutch issue at the start line.
Watch coming to this corner how far the sand's actually getting thrown all the way back in that berm. Come tonight's main event, you're really going to have to be focused on how you plant that front end in that corner specifically.
Yeah.
It didn't start the night out of sand. That's
right,
for
like
sure.
you said, that roof's coming off there. It's throwing it back. It's not going to be a clay turn anymore. It's going to be a sand turn.
No.
You see Chad Reed now heading into the sand.
That is some deep stuff.
2.5 minutes gone here in 450 A group practice number 2. 52.7, the fast time thus far from Justin Barsha. Chad Reed, who you're watching right now in second with a 53.1. James Stewart just moved up with a 53.2 as these guys get warmed up, followed by Dungey and Kennard. Kyle Chisholm was in 6th. Ryan Villapoto just jumped up into 4th. So again, early in these practice sessions, we see a lot of action as guys start to run hot laps.
Some of the grooves starting to take shape in that corner there as Chad went around that first turn. Let's see how he does this. Right here, he's going to seat hop, triple, double.
Oh, didn't get the
single.
triple out.
Yeah, he didn't. He missed it.
I know it's Barsha who's on top of the times at this point, actually tripled out. I think that's definitely going to be the faster way to go, but Chad probably didn't feel comfortable with that lapper he was coming up on.
Attention future technicians, enter to win a $20,000 scholarship to Motorcycle Mechanics Institute by uploading a 2-minute video to YouTube telling Supercross champ Jeremy McGrath why you should win. Be creative, sing a song, rap, read a poem, or create a comedy skit. Maybe you could just go on and look at the performances of Kevin Windham most recently at the Monster Energy Awards ceremony at the end of the season, and you could get some ideas for your video. Tell Jeremy McGrath what you would do with your education after you graduate. YouTube.com/McGrath Scholarship for more information.
Red flag out for somebody.
Red flag out again.
The medical flag, the white flag with a red cross in it, but I don't see anyone down, do you?
No, Ryder getting back on track on a KTM coming around.
You know,
it's looking like the 54 bike.
Kevin, I'm great at showing people what not to do. I mean, I could simply video myself working on a bike. That's horrible. Actually, that would get me the win. I desperately need some help here.
You'd have a new profession.
But also my singing, that's more of a what not to do if they want to YouTube the performance of Red Solo Cup at the awards banquet.
Look at old Tomac, not afraid to get in there and mix it up with the guy who has that red background and lead the points here, Millsaps. Whoa, hang on, Eli.
Hang on, baby.
And I like that line transfer from outside to inside there.
And you know what? That no matter how it turns out tonight, no matter how he wins, doesn't win, falls, don't fall, that could have possibly been a move that you make on a 250F. Those things just whip in those corners so easily. The 450 is just a beast, you know, and they're tougher to ride. But I'm expecting good things out of Eli tonight. He's definitely in a very low pressure situation. You know, the last couple of rounds, even though he won, you just feel like things aren't going like he wanted them to on the West Coast. I don't think anyone doubts his talent. He certainly can do it. He's just kind of stacked the cards against him a little bit with the crashes at the one round. But tonight could be his night. He could be the man.
Justin Barsha close to home and feeling it. 52.7, still holding up. He actually ran a 52.8 on his last lap. And Ryan Villapoto just jumped into second. 52.8. Just completed lap. Chad Reed, 52.8. And hold on.
Millsaps.
The 18 is having none of it. 52.5 from our points leader, Davey Millsaps.
You know, we talked about it earlier, Kevin, when about Millsaps. You know, he hasn't had a bad night.
Nope.
You know,
he has not.
Reed's had a bad night, and he finished 12th. RV, a 16th at the opener.
Very bad night.
Dungey, a 6 and an 8 were a couple bad nights. But Millsaps hasn't had a bad night. The key to his championship run is how he handles if he does have a bad night. Where is he going to finish?
Exactly.
Is it going to be a 5th? Is it going to be a 6th? Or is it going to be like a Villapoto, a disaster, you know, in a 16 or a 15? That's the way that your points lead will just vanish.
It can go away quick. It really can. And you have always heard from guys like Ricky Carmichael or anyone else for that matter that you win your championships on your bad days. They always say that. And to minimize your damages, and my wife and I were talking about this morning, I mean, not to discredit any of the past champions, but when you talk about 17 rounds of racing, you're going to have some days and moments of just pure luck. I mean, there's so much that goes out on a Supercross track that, you know, I personally get this sense of feeling that stars are aligning for the 18. Now, he's doing great stuff on his own.
Sure.
But, I mean, I saw him, you know, last weekend where he barely tiptoed through a crash in the first turn, where that could have been that night where he gets back up and comes to a 6th or 7th, and somehow he just, you know, for whatever reason,
and like
right through there.
And like you said, I mean, some of it is out of his control. Like you said, a first turn, you know, you're in there, you get collected up into it. And about the only thing that I remember is one of the Anaheims this year where he got collected up in the first turn heat race, and he had to come through the last chance race to get in the main event.
When his motor quit.
So if you win your championships on your bad nights, that was a bad night for him, and he rebounded from that.
Absolutely.
Kevin, I want to ask you about Trey Kennard, who we're watching here on the 41. The question has been, what's wrong with Trey Kennard? But I think the question ought to be, what's right with Trey Kennard? He's gone 2, 5, 2, 4, 7, 8, 7 a year after a terrible injury.
One that, I mean, I've publicly said would have taken me out. I mean, it almost took me out just watching it because I was right beside the guy when it happened. And Trey's a good friend of mine. You know, sometimes you see riders fall into an area where they lose momentum, and And I think that the beginning of the season was obviously better than where he's at right now. And I hope that he's not falling into a rut because he has no reason to.
Right.
And
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I don't want to.
He's fourth in points right now. This seems like a great spot to be a year out from what
Well,
happened.
and I totally agree with you. But Kevin, when you hear week after week that something's up, he didn't quite perform like he wanted to, whether it may only be 2 positions or whatever,
it wears on you.
You hear that stuff, and you try to discredit it, and you try to say, you know what, I'm not going to think about it. But when you hear it time and time again, whether it be on Twitter or anywhere else for that matter, it is very hard, on top of the fact that he probably hasn't met his expectations. I mean, clearly, I think of him as a guy that can win, and needs to be on the podiums and stuff. But, I mean, to come back from what he has been through is impressive for us. But he don't believe that he needs to be anywhere else but on that podium or up on number 1 spot.
Well, maybe he should be believing tonight because Eli Tomac and Trey Kennard right now sit atop our fastest time. Tomac 52.203. Kennard 52.234. Barsha 52.470. So Honda.
52 is all the way to 8th place with Michael Lessie, all the way through, top 8.
It's the young guns.
Yeah.
The young guns up front tonight here in Atlanta.
No Marsha. It's all Honda. Millsaps on a Suzuki in 4th.
Up.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. The big yellow bike.
There's
James
the white
Stewart,
knight.
52.121. Jumps on top with just 15 seconds to go.
We're looking at Ryan. I hope he's on a heater right now. But, I mean, I don't think that he lets it get in his head that he's not going to win tonight. But he's a champion. He's in 7th place right now, and he's actually been finishing some of his time qualifiers in that area. But he still, obviously last weekend went on to a very convincing win.
Well, and he's won here before. I mean, he won here in 2011, and I got to remember when you were riding here, he had that big crash where, his exhaust got stacked up. So, I mean, this track here tonight's been good to him, and it's been bad to him at the same time.
Well, Villopoto's still going fast, perhaps looking for another lap. We have checkered flag out. Villopoto currently sitting in 7th with a 52.5. So really, the 7th doesn't mean anything because you can throw a blanket over 1 through 9.
Yeah,
52.1 to 52.9.
Well,
that's
yeah,
all that's telling me. Yeah, all that's telling me is that.
Oh,
that.
Glad we have you guys here.
Well, all it's telling me is that you better get a good start tonight because everybody's so close.
But watch this one here. I think.
I don't think. No, he cased it.
You can't case the double.
No,
he was trying to nurse it, wasn't he?
He's trying. Let's see.
Oh, man.
Nope.
Well, when you're jockeying for a 10th of a second and you case a double like that, I mean, obviously it takes the momentum out.
There's your 10th because his fast time is 52.58. That one was 52.68. There you guys are on top of it.
Yeah, we try to be.
Yeah, and I think I said this earlier. Kevin, to your point, yes, you can throw a blanket over all of them. So if you're James Stewart right now or even Eli Tomac, who's on top, the top 1 and 2 here in this practice, you try to convince yourself that this means everything. If you're somebody like Villopoto or Reed at 7, 8, 9, around the Lessie and those guys, you try to convince yourself it doesn't mean a thing.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have this thing ready. We're gonna change. We're gonna go out 2 on the clickers. We're gonna put a new tire on the back, and we're gonna rip this thing tonight.
Well, Reed's done that before in the past. He's he's put different tires on the front and then gets that fuel back in the front and ends up going out and winning the main event.
It's amazing how few times fastest qualifier actually wins the main event. And I think more times than not, it's someone else that can come through and shock everyone.
But I'm going to go with James Stewart tonight for winning.
Okay.
I just think it's his time tonight in Atlanta. He's won here before.
All right, Jim, I'm writing that down.
Yep. Not that.
Tanique.
Not
it's
that.
Done.
Yeah. Not that he hasn't. The other guys. I'm talking. Dungy's won here. Villopoto's won here. Reed's won here. Millsaps has won here. Everybody. But I think it's James tonight. And then that's why I'm going to go to my picks real quick.
Go back
from last year in Arlington.
Last week was bad.
James Stewart 52.1, followed by Eli Tomac, then Trey Kennard, Justin Barsha, Ryan Dungy, your top 5. Then Davey Millsaps, Ryan Villopoto, Chad Reed, Michael Lessie, Justin Brayton, your top 10. Then Tickle, Weimer, Gerke, Albertson, Chisholm, Short, Partridge, Hill, Blows, and Pike.
All right, here we go.
Last week.
The man to the left of me.
Okay.
Kevin Windham.
The rookie.
The rookie. Yeah, we'll call you the rookie.
The rookie.
In the 450 class, Kevin, you picked Reed to win, Trey Kennard second, RV third. In the lights, you went with Will Hahn to win, Wilson second, and Marvin Muskin in third. Myself, for the 450, I picked RV to win. I picked Reed second, and I picked James third. In the lights, I picked, or light 250 class, Wilson to win, Marvin second, and Blake
You
for
were close
third.
there.
I was close.
Yep.
And then the man to the right of me, the other Kevin Barnett, picked Millsaps to win in the 450, Dungy and RV for third. You had everybody in the podium, just had it wrong.
I mean,
but Marvin to win
it's a good start.
in the 250 class, Wilson and Hahn. But you know what? I just got to say, I picked both winners. I picked both winners last week.
Yeah, well, you know.
What's what we expect from you? The experience playing into that? I mean, you got a volleyball player, the legend, and then the rookie.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to really play this rookie thing right now. Absolutely.
Well, you did. You played Dean Wilson for Dean Martin.
That's right.
I thought that was funny.
I wanted to see some Photoshop this week from somebody. I want to see Dean Martin riding a bike.
That alone should let everyone know I have no idea what I'm talking about. And you know, I was hoping big for the Geico Honda teammate. I mean, where was I supposed to put him, really? Where would you have put him if you were me?
Well, you got to put him up on the top spot.
Okay. And how did I do on the other two spots? Not
did
too
good.
bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
you were all right.
Loyalty over dishonor.
And the 450 class is really something that
you can't.
You
pick
just
it.
throw them in
I
a
just
bucket.
got lucky.
You just throw them in a bucket and pick names.
I just got lucky.
I actually picked I discredited myself right off the bat, saying I think that it would be great for him to finish this way, just to kind of mix up an already mixed up season, right? I mean, all these guys are due, and all of them can. All of my picks certainly could. And I think RV. What I'm feeling right now is RV. Maybe the only guy that can go on a straight up winning streak. I mean,
you think so? Really? Yeah.
I think he can. I think he's right on the edge, and I think as when I look at all these guys, I see tons of people who can win. But I think that Davey Millsap's consistency's been impressive. But I don't think he can go on a winning streak. I think he can go on a top 5 streak, or I think he can go on a podium streak. I think Villapoto is the guy that they have to be a little bit worried about, and that's. Almost discredited whenever we look at the last qualifying time where he was just 7th. Right. I mean, that doesn't when you're getting 7th in time practice doesn't really show that you're going to go on a streak. But I think he can. I think he can. I think he might be one of the few that could go on a pretty scary streak.
Kevin, what do you say to guys? We have a question coming in from Twitter from Eric. What do you say to fans or other riders or someone that would be critical of the fact that Tomac is coming into the middle of this championship and playing the role of spoiler?
I think. Well, per the rules, he's more than eligible.
Yeah.
His talent is there, and I would almost be a little bit offended if he didn't charge it to 100% of his ability. I think that as a champion, you have to beat everyone that shows up. And I think that was one of the really sad things for Reed when he won this championship when Carmichael was out there. It seemed like a lot of the fans wanted to put an asterisk around it. Well, you know what? Injury's part of it.
That's right.
Same thing when Dungy won his first championship.
Lights guys were part of it, and I think the cream will, as always, rises to the top, and the best guy will win this series. Now, I do think that Eli, whether win, lose, or draw, I think he needs to ride with a level of respect, a little bit above and beyond. But I mean, certainly go for the win, and I would never put my personal self in a position where I was, potentially taking a guy out that was going for a championship, but he definitely owes it to his sponsors and his fans to race him as hard as he possibly can.
Well, I remember last year here, Cole Seeley was riding on the factory Honda, and he hole shotted the main and led it for 10 laps. So I mean, I'd like to see more of those lights guys on the West Coast transition over to a 450 and get into the mix with these guys.
If you're finding yourself in the same situation in life that Kevin Windham is, you just don't have a career, and maybe you're in between careers, maybe you should contact Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. They have a $20,000 McGrath scholarship out there for the taking right now. If you go to youtube.com/McGrath scholarship, enter your video. Could be an old video, could be a new video. You being creative. Sing a song, a rap, read a poem, do something, get noticed, get 20 grand.
I got to be honest here. You're kind of starting to give me ideas. So am I eligible or
you're eligible?
You're eligible.
If I win, do you think the fans of Supercross are gonna yell it's a fraud? I mean, you think they're gonna think that I'm
They will yell.
Me and MC are friends.
They'll
obviously.
be excited that you're gonna be at the races from now on because you're gonna be a mechanic.
Yeah. Man, you know how awesome it'd be to get that Top Tech Award down on the mechanics line. On the start line, stand behind, just pump.
Kevin Windham. Top mechanic.
They used to have a couple more zeros on them, but still, it's
right.
just when you get a big check.
Hey, when you're
so
retired, Kevin, it doesn't matter if it has 1 or 2 zeros. It's just good you're getting paid.
It's good to get paid. Yes, indeed.
How's your mechanic, Brian, doing? Calma, he's a graduate of MMI. He probably doesn't have too much to do. I mean, he's not tearing your bike down in between races, or is he?
Actually, he's working hard. Great mechanic that he is. He's helping building engines.
Oh.
Obviously, go through a lot of engines with all the testing and practicing and the amount of riders on the Geico Honda team. He's not my personal mechanic anymore. I mean, he is, but
he still comes
funny.
out with you, right?
Well, I'm gonna take a little punch at him here because he's not here this weekend. I'm sure
he?
he's at home listening.
Oh, is he?
But he's not here. So
hey, Brian,
you can use him right here. He can have the pit board right here in front of us.
I miss you. I don't really know what you're doing right now. Probably at the beach in sunny Southern California, I would imagine.
It was nice. It was 70 degrees when I left yesterday.
Yeah. Our director Jeff says, Kevin, you get a video together. We'll show it here.
Awesome.
What about a tech tip? You got a tech tip for us?
Absolutely.
Because I had one last week.
No, I don't. If it don't come loose, you take a hammer and you whack on that thing.
No, you don't.
Is that? No. Can you work on a dirt bike with a hammer?
No.
Or duct tape?
No.
I need MMI. I'm telling you, I gotta go.
All right, why don't we show that MMI tech tip right now? Let's get a look at an actual piece of advice you could use on your bike.
Today's MMI tech tip is on air pressure. Jeremy, we teach our students to check their tire pressure regularly. What kind of tips do you have for changing track conditions? Yeah, well, really probably what you're teaching is when the bike's sitting around, it actually loses air. So what we're actually doing at the race is trying to do it more on the conditions of the dirt. So on like a grippier dirt, you would actually put more air in it so it pushes the tire to the ground. If it's a lot drier conditions, you'd actually put less air so that the tire actually is a little softer and grips the dirt better. So that's what we do. Great. So there's your MMI tech tip for today.
Good look at air pressure. One of those things that a lot of recreational riders don't necessarily monitor when they go out to ride, but they ought to, Jim. The second you pull that thing off the trailer or out of the back of your truck, you better check that tire pressure.
Well, and you got to remember that, when you climb altitude, if you're depending on where you're riding, your tire pressure changes. I don't know, when I used to ride Supercross, Kevin, you're just fresh off retiring, but we used to run about 12 or so depending on the track. Maybe you drop it down to 11, but if it's really rocky outdoors or something, you want to run maybe 13, a little bit harder, so you don't get a flat.
And there's other variants. I mean, you may want to run a moose if you're in a really rocky track that's obviously no air in the tire. You're not going to get a flat. But also one thing to kind of let the fans know how spoiled we really are, that we don't always run air because as you're spinning, that air pressure builds, the heat builds, and you may go out with a 12 and come in with a 14 psi in the tire. So sometimes
and that's
a
feeling, like you said, nitrogen, which won't change with the pressure, but as the tire heats up, sometimes you come into the technicians and you go, hey man, like 5 laps from the end, man, the rear wheel was breaking loose more so than. Well, that's because you put heat in the tire, especially last week when you had a blue groove track. That's where the heat's going to build up.
Kevin, did you guys ever run a moose in Supercross?
I did not run a moose in Supercross that I can recall. And,
they're pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
do they get run outdoors at all?
Oh yeah,
they do all the time.
Oh yeah,
They are heavy.
Yeah,
got another Red Cross flag. Got it.
Well, we actually have a red flag condition on the track. Practice being shut down. That never a good sign. But right now, Justin Sipes on the 64 Kawasaki at 56.6.
That'll get him in.
Fastest guy on track. So Justin Sipes looking good for the night show. It's an opportunity to take a break here on Supercross Live. We'll get figured out what's going on the track. We'll be back with more practice and, of course, our picks. Supercross Live.
Our main objective is to make you guys happy, send you home with a smile.
How does he do it?
Now it's time to crank the wick up a little bit.
Oh man, here we go. And another! Oh, my. Oh yeah!
Oh, look at this!
The battle is about to begin.
What's up, Brian Deegan here. Make sure you check out Nuclear Cowboys. All my boys from the Metal Militia are laying it down. Freestyle motocross, the best riders in the world. It is the best show, so get your tickets now. Check it out.
Welcome back to Supercross Live here on supercrossonline.com. Practice once again back underway for the 450 Group B, guys. Justin Sipes leading with a 56.6, followed by Gilmore, Tapia, Sewell, Stewart, Hall, Pipes, Entignap, Schmidt, and Wennerstrom, your top 10 here in B practice. 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go. And about 6 minutes to go on our show here, Jim. We're going to be checking off soon, so maybe a time to start going through our picks coming up. Why don't we start with the 250 class?
Well, I noticed when me and Kevin were John back there, you were writing your picks down already. You were really focused, and you were just focused in on. I saw you really concentrate. So I want to hear your picks first.
I had to cheat somehow. I mean, after having a decent week in the 450s the first time, now I feel the pressure now, right? My expectations have risen internally. So I had in the 250s, I'm picking Marvin again.
Okay.
Talked to him today. Said, Marvin, should I pick you again? Yes. So
you actually told him that? You picked him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He's adding pressure to the riders.
There you go. I've got Dean in second.
Okay.
And then I went with a wild card in third. I'm taking the rookie, 77, Jeremy Martin.
You're going to go Jeremy Martin?
I just want to throw something in there. I want to see a rookie do well, get on the podium first time.
Okay. And your 450s?
450s. Okay, I have. This is a tough pick because there's so many guys that I could have put in there. I could have put in there Dungey, Villapoto, Tomac. I wrote it down. I'll leave it.
There's 10 guys you can put in there, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. I'm not going to change it. I have Millsaps winning.
Okay.
I have Stewart podium, second place.
Yep.
And I threw Kennard in there.
Good.
I like his practice times. I think he's feeling good. He's due to get on the podium.
All right, and who did I pick? I told you. Well, I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with for the win
in the
450. I'm going to go with James Stewart. Second, Mr. Consistency, Millsaps, and Ryan Villapoto in third. And in the 250 class, I'm going to go with Dean Wilson to win again, and I'm going to go with Marvin on the podium second.
All right, marvelous.
And I'm going to go with back-to-back thirds for Will Hahn.
That lineup looks familiar.
And for the first time, Jim and I actually agree that I'm going to take that same running order, 15, 25, and 19. So
okay.
I think Marvin's going to rebound, but I don't know that it's going to be enough to get Wilson. And I think Hahn's going to start a real consistent streak here tonight, and ultimately start inching forward as the weeks go on. Now for the I have for my 450, I have Villapoto winning. And I'm going to drop to third where I have Eli coming in and kind of doing a little bit of an upset, getting the podium for all the guys that have been racing. And I have Davey for number 2, but can you guys give me, being the rookie, can you give me a little bit of leeway? And can I just put like a Georgia boy in number 2? Like, because I could easily put the 51 in there, either way. Can I just go with like Georgia? Can I put Georgia next to number 2?
Anyone that wins?
Yeah, like a Tallahassee, Georgia
we'll
type
you do that.
pick.
Put Georgia.
Because I was horrible I was horrible last weekend. So
somebody from Georgia is going to be in second.
I need help. Last weekend, let me play a little bit of a spread here because last weekend was just garbage for my picks.
Okay, so you have 51 and 18. Actually,
that's good enough. That's good enough.
Okay, the state of Georgia for second.
Hey, Georgia's a winner either way. This is going to be a packed house tonight.
Yeah,
it is going to be so exciting. It's going to be some great racing.
It is, and if you haven't been to this race, if you haven't had an opportunity to come out into this race, and you're thinking about going when you live anywhere here in this corridor of the United States, north to south, somewhere in the east, come to this one. Because the atmosphere is awesome. They blow it off with the pyro. It is just a lot of fun to be here at this race.
And I always thought that, we have 3 Anaheims out there. They went with the Dodger Stadium last couple years, but they went back to the 3 Anaheims. I always thought that Feld Motorsports, they could do 2 here in Atlanta just because of all the enthusiasm they have here. Everybody comes out to this event. Maybe, put it towards the end, and switch it up, but we'll see.
And know that the 2014 schedule is coming out shortly here in April. A few weeks away, you will get a look at the 2014 schedule. And if you want to be the first to buy tickets for the 2014 season, you need to go right now to supercrossonline.com and join the Cross Club. Cross Club members will get first shot at those tickets beginning May 6th after the closing weekend in Las Vegas.
And why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you join the Cross Club? It's free. It is free. Just go to supercrossonline.com and sign up. I mean, and I'll have to get some confirmation from this, but usually I know in the years past at the awards ceremony, they only pick some of those Cross Club members, 3 of them, to come and be invited to the ceremony. And I've interviewed a lot of them, and they're so excited to see the riders in a different perspective. I mean, Kevin, I've introduced you to a couple
completely
of
different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you got a suit and tie on.
I'm singing.
You're singing.
That's right.
I get my email
You
reminders
and Dean Martin.
all the
That's
time.
where you got the Dean
Oh,
Martin
come
from.
on.
You and Dean Martin. Let's collaborate and put a voice of Kevin Windham and Dean Martin together.
You know, earlier in the show, you guys asked where I'm trying to find my place, and I got to be honest with you. With the singing, the Dean Martin comment, and photos like this, I might have to find another home. No, but I'm having a blast.
It sounds like a variety show. It sounds like you're going to host a Supercross and motocross variety show.
Oh, it's a variety show, all right, with me. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, it's been a lot of fun here on Supercross Live and supercrossonline.com. And, of course, 3 hours of live streaming blow by for us. I know hanging out here, it's always a great finish when you join us, Kevin. We get a chance to go through those picks and hear more about your perspective on the track, on the riders, and what's happening in the world of Supercross. We always appreciate having you here.
Enjoy being up here.
Are you at the race next week?
I am. I'm going to all the races, and in between trying to see what the guys are doing, helping my teammates, the Geico Honda guys, and then obviously, saying
and helping
goodbye to
your
all
new
my
teammates.
fans. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're teammates now. This is a team.
Oh, it sounds very official whenever you go with the Kevin, and Jim show.
There you
I don't
go.
know how I got one notch
you know what?
above you. It should be Kevin, Kevin.
I'm going to talk to Phil, and I'm going to see if we can't get a T-shirt maybe designed. Supercross Live, the Kevin and Jim show.
It's nice.
What do you think?
I'll run it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Okay.
We got to talk to our producer, Linda, and see if we can.
Then we can put them on for summer. Your Cross Club members can win those.
With our spaces on there, they would sell in the merchandise trailers out in the pits.
We'll give 3 away to the guys that go to the banquet.
There you go. Cross Club members. Yep. Perfect.
Oh, see?
Autographed.
Genius happening right here on the show. Jim Holley, another good idea, another tech tip from Jim Holley.
I'm going to bring a tech tip in next week, I think. If I can get through the TSA.
Well, it's obvious that
I carry my bag, and if I bring the cylinder head, I think that I don't know if they think it's a weapon or not, but I'm going to try.
You're going to have to, because it's obvious with both my picks and my tech tips with hammers and everything else. You're going to have to come up with the substance. I don't have it.
All right, producer Linda's yelling at me. I'm not sure what we've missed here, but I know that the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute is a huge supporter of our program, and we appreciate them being involved. The McGrath Scholarship is available at youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship. 20 grand up for grabs. We're going to be back next week. St. Louis will be the place. We hope you enjoy the night show. It's going to be live on Speed, starting at 7:30 East Coast time, 4:30 on the West. So get ready for an early dinner out there. Hit the buffet and then come back and watch Supercross Live, or pardon me, Supercross Live, actually live on Speed. And then remember, tomorrow, the CBS show happening at noon Eastern. It's The Path to Las Vegas, a recap of the first 8 rounds of the championship. I'm Kevin. He's Jim. We'll be back next week.